Hey, Andrew.
Yes, Steven?
You know how we romanticize the days of going out to our local video store and sifting through endless amounts of movies, searching for our favorite films, and maybe even finding some hidden gems?
Oh yes, I know it all too well. That used to be my favorite thing to do. Unfortunately, everything is online now.
Well, what if I told you that there was a place online where you could get some of them same thrills as going to the video store?
Are you talking about Orbit DVD?
I knew you knew what I was talking about. Orbit DVD is located in Asheville, North Carolina, and online with OrbitDVD.com, they bring you everything your physical media heart desires.
Yeah, they have an awesome website that stays up to date with the latest releases from all of your favorite boutique labels as well as studio releases. Not only do they carry American labels such as Criterion Collection, Severin Films, Vinegar Syndrome, and Warner Archive, but they get routine shipments on imports from companies such as 88 Films, Arrow Video, Imprint, and so much more.
And with the option to sell or trade your used copies for cash or store credit, they really bring that video store vibe to you. So go to OrbitDVD.com and stock up on your Blu-rays.
And tell them Chasing Labels sent you.
Welcome to another episode of Chasing Labels. I am your host, Stephen Billings, and with me, as always, is your other host, Andrew Cabral. How you doing, man?
Doing good. We're back here once again. Feels like we were just here. I know I say that every single week.
Dude, it's a broken record.
I had a better intro in my head a few days ago, and I completely...
As soon as you get to the moment, you just go back to your default settings.
Just go back to old reliable. Yeah. Don't mess around. You know, you have those, I think a lot of people call them shower thoughts.
Yes.
Where you're like, you think of your best things when you're either in the shower, in the restroom, or any of those things. I come up with such great pictures. I tell you, I'm like Rupert Pupkin in his basement talking out loud to himself. Yes. And having the absolute best show with Jerry Lewis ever in his head. and
We've all been
I do
there.
That every single week. Yeah, this is nothing new for me. But Stephen, we do have another guest this week, a returning guest. So Stephen, tell us who we have.
He's you're gonna know him. You're gonna know him for recent works. He's doing the for the Red Rock West essay, coming from Signal One Entertainment. We have Ian Schultz. How you doing, man?
I'm okay. It's late here, and I try to get some films watched that have been announced, but most of the ones that I've been announced I have seen before.
Well, that's good. That's good. Yeah, it's always chaotic, especially when stuff gets announced later in the week for us, and we're always like, okay, god damn it, we got to watch like 10 movies. You know, we don't have to, but you know, we like to. We like to be able to talk about movies on this show and not just be like, well, that looks interesting. Okay, well, next thing we're talking. Yeah, so that's good. We'll have some stuff to say today.
Of course we will. And as people remember, or maybe you don't remember, Ian joined us when we did a big double episode on David Cronenberg and his entire filmography on home video, essentially.
Yeah.
That was a gargantuan episode we did about, I want to say,
been about almost probably a little over a year ago.
Probably about almost a year ago, and David Cronenberg's come out with a brand new movie in between. That's how long it's been. Yeah. And that movie has already even come out on Blu-ray, at least here in the States.
It's not even been released theatrically in the UK yet.
Really?
Wow.
I've seen it, though. I saw it in Amsterdam twice.
Yeah, I was going to say, how did you feel about it?
I liked it, yeah.
You liked it, yeah? Yeah, it's, I liked it, too. I don't like it as much as some of his, their better works. I kind of put it in there middle tier for me. Like, I feel like it's
a bit of a grower. I've seen it another time. I've seen it three times now, but
yeah, it's a film that harkens back to his earlier work, his body horror stuff.
Definitely. But I think it also harkens to like Existence as well.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Even then, yeah. But it's kind of everything we know about Cronenberg in one movie. It's dystopian, it's sexual in nature, it's
surgery is a new sex.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. exactly, and it's like
Also,
it's dealing with
best performance of
so
the
much
year
stuff.
is Kristen Stewart in that, and I wish she was in it more.
You
Definitely,
know what?
yeah.
I thought she was going to be in that movie more, and I would have liked to have seen her more.
And
Her,
also with that, I don't know if you guys know, but in France, that's getting 4K.
Yeah.
yes, yeah. I think it. I is it going to be Studio Canal
It's
or
probably
someone?
someone like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know it just got a regular Blu-ray release here. It just came out August 9th. But yeah, that's it. And it's one of the better films I've seen this year. It's really
It's
good.
David
I would
Cronenberg's always
recommend it
going
to
to give you
people.
something that
He's gonna give you something to think
something to
about
think,
at least.
but also just interesting in general. Like it's going to be
Yeah.
something that you're at least going to think about a little bit when you're done watching it. And but this episode we are going to highlight.
dedicated to
I want
someone
to say
else.
I took my mom to see it,
Oh wow.
Oh, perfect mom and son movie. Yeah.
and then like 2 days
Perfect.
later we saw Elvis on IMAX, which was also
Okay, that's
great.
probably more her speed.
That's more.
No,
more
no,
of
she liked the Cronenberg film. She's liked
Cool.
Cronenberg before.
Oh, that's good. Well, then that's cool. You got
I
that's
mean-
good. You got a cool mom then.
that is
Well,
pretty cool. I mean, my mother
I
would not.
interviewed John Waters recently, and he said my parents are very transgressive. So
Nice.
Nice.
Nice. That must have been a hell of a treat. I wonder. Yeah, I know he does his like top 10 movies of the year list like every year, and I wonder if that's going to end up being on it. I have a feeling
most
it will be.
likely, yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
But we're dedicating this episode, I guess, to someone else that we also.
So actually,
and that would be-
connecting to Crimes of the Future was the original star of the film called Painkillers, which is what became Crimes of the Future.
Nice. Okay.
Nick
Yeah.
Cage, Nicolas
Yes.
Cage.
Yes.
Oh wow, That is
Back
an
in like
interesting
2000 or something is when he first wrote the script.
Oh, okay. All right.
connection. I would actually really like a Nick Cage Cronenberg team up.
That would be that would be
But
fascinating.
we have a different team up here in Red Rock West, and this is a movie that had been rumored to come out on Blu-ray years ago. And Ian, I remember you had written the essay for it back then, I believe.
Yes,
Is that how
that
is
is
that how it
how
is?
it happened. I had asked James, who's the guy who runs Signal One, if I could kind of write one on essentially sort of the equivalent to spec. I hadn't done one yet. I've been wanting to get into that for a while. So I wrote it's a much longer version that I think I sent you guys as well. And then eventually, like a couple of years later, it was announced, and I was like, "Oh, can we definitely have that booklet?" And then I had to condense it. And
Yeah, it's still a nice. It's a great essay. It's essentially, it does talk about the noir genre. It talks about Red Rock West, but it also is very much about John Dole, the director, and his pathway through his career and where his influence of filmmakers throughout his time. So yeah, tell us more about your relationship with Red Rock West and your relationship to the genre and stuff like that.
well, I've always been a big film noir fan. I mean, I probably, I guess, from the age of like when Sin City came out, and then I kind of went back to all the older film noirs. And Red Rock West was when I came to Philly later. I think I'd seen Last Seduction and then kind of worked backwards, which was a great movie. Although I think it's probably safe to say the twist of that film probably would not fly in today's climate. And then I did Red Rock West, which I thought might even be better, although I kind of switched between both of them because they're both pretty great. And then went back to Kill Me Again, which is a really underrated film. And that's actually why Nicolas Cage was in Red Rock West, because Coppola was, Francis Ford Coppola was such a big fan of Kill Me Again and suggested Nick should get in touch with John Dahl and audition for it.
Yeah. Yeah, and John Dahl is always, based off of what I was reading in your essay. John Dahl's always been fascinated with that genre himself, and continued to kind of like use the film noir genre throughout his career, up even until working in TV.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, all of those types of movies, with the exception of like A Nightmare Alley or some of the sort of, well, Tarantino's not really doing those movies anymore, but something like Nightmare Alley and some other stuff. All that sort of stuff's in TV these days.
Yeah.
Which is a
Yeah,
shame.
and I love one of the genre, and it's a genre that's definitely kind of revived in the last 10, 15 years more, is that Western noir. That Red Rock West is, it's kind of come back and for, with, like you said in the essay, Hell or High Water, then films like No Country for Old Men. I mean, it's a great genre.
Even stuff like, do you ever see that film Down in the Valley, the Ed Norton film?
I've heard of it. I don't think I've seen it.
It's an interesting little take on that as well. That's
Yeah.
more sort of Badlands-y sort of thing in a way, but that's worth checking out.
Okay. Andrew.
Yeah, this was John Dahl's second film. It's only his second feature, which is a heck of a kind of jump to make from Kill Me Again to Red Rock West, and this is getting a Signal 1 release for those of you.
Well, it's actually under the sub-label Plan B, but everyone's just referred to it as a Signal 1 release. But
yeah, right. You are correct.
I keep saying Signal 1 is actually Plan B, but it's the same difference.
Right. And it has gotten a couple of releases. Well, I think it got one release, I think in Germany a couple of years ago. But it's not really gotten any major play in Region A land ever until now.
Well, this is a Region B release.
It's actually all region.
Well, true.
Isn't it all region?
Land,
yeah, I tested it.
Okay, cool.
Oh, good.
I believe Kino might be doing it.
Someone may be doing
someone did announce. I'll check on that.
I do know who's doing it, but I'm not going to say it on
yeah,
I'm not going to say it on air because I don't know if it's supposed to be out there yet. Yeah.
And not only that, I'm curious. Yeah, I'm curious if we get a Region A release here versus the Region B, what the differences will be in terms of like features and stuff. That will be kind of fascinating. What is interesting about this movie is it is the combination of Western and noir, but it stars, of course, Nicolas Cage early on in his career, relatively early on. I mean, he had already gotten some notoriety with his late 80s work and things like Moonstruck and Vampire's Kiss.
Raising Arizona.
Yeah,
Raising Arizona.
Yeah, he was, as you said in the essay, he was still kind of an indie darling.
Kind of an indie darling, yeah. I bet.
Wild at Heart was before
this. Is a film that's
yeah,
this is a film that's kind of in that indie realm, I would say.
Yeah, it was an indie for all intents and purposes.
This was definitely, I think, one of the last. This was like one of the last kind of indie films he did before he exploded. Like he went into like action movie man realm.
Yeah, because you have Leaving Las Vegas. It's like a year or two later, something like that.
Yeah, so he got his Oscar, and then he became like the biggest action star in the world after that.
Well, yeah, he did Red Rock West, and then he went on to do Deadfall, Guarding Tess.
You guys have seen Deadfall, haven't you?
I don't think I have actually. No.
Oh.
I kind of want to watch it now.
Well, we will get into Deadfall later.
Yeah, ironically, I've seen Guarding Tess.
That's one I haven't
I have seen that.
Yeah, let's not get too deep into talking his filmography
we're gonna go
until
into his
end.
stuff later, but I just want to say this was kind of in that early 90s period. Like, he did Honeymoon in Vegas, like, the year before.
Yeah.
It's still relatively, before Nick Cage became, I guess, a more bigger star. But it's really, really good. We covered it a bit when this was announced. But Ian, when did you first discover this movie? You said it was later on. Was it more recently?
In the last 5 years or something.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if it was something that you had seen much earlier.
I can probably have to give you the date of when I saw it if you want.
Oh,
exact day.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what Letterboxd is good for.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I've been on Letterboxd for nearly a decade, so it's like I can go back a decade in time.
2015.
Yeah, I watched it on this day.
Yeah, there you go. 7 years ago.
Right, there you go. That's 7 years ago now.
Yeah, it's one of them. It's one of them things where it's like I use IMDb. I'll go through a filmography of an actor or somebody, and of course Nick Cage is one I definitely went through. And this one kind of got under my radar because there was no real good release for it yet. So when this got announced, there was we were able to watch it. It's on streaming somewhere, I watched it. And yeah, it's a solid film. I really think that Nick Cage, this is where he, was able to stretch his legs a little bit more. I mean, like he's always even in the 80s he was playing eccentric characters. I think he was trying to show the type of actor he wanted to be, but then he knew that he had an audience that also looked at him as kind of a sex symbol. I think women liked him. And this, he starts out this movie doing push-ups on the side of the road, in a tank top, and
and this was pre-Con Air tank top,
and so he was, I think he was he definitely had a fan base that was female, too. So I think he plays into that a little bit here, but
well, I mean, sex always sells when it comes to movies, and that's the way the marketing's been.
I mean, he did Moonstruck. I mean, that is a romantic comedy type of film.
A romantic comedy. But getting back to Red Rock West, like history on home video, I guess it had a DVD release in 1999, and then kind of relatively nothing after that. Just a bunch of random DVD releases.
And that's where the commentary's from. If not, that even might be Laserdisc, but I know it was on the original DVD in the US.
Yeah. And the only other DVD releases I'm even seeing here are in Australia.
I have a Dutch one, which I'm going to give away at some point to someone, but
yeah, I might as well with this new release.
Might actually be Belgian. It's somewhere in Holland or Dutch Belgian release or something.
Some European country.
All right. Well, so Signal One's putting this out. I think it's August 22nd is its street date. And so I believe, I don't know if there's any other outlets you can purchase it from, but I know I ordered mine through their site directly. So
Amazon UK has it. And I'm assuming other.
I think Diabolic maybe get it in at some point.
Okay.
Diabolic will probably get it. Our sponsor, Orbit DVD, will probably get it as well. I'm surprised they don't have it already.
Well, there's reasons. There might be reasons, but I'm not going to say why.
Oh, okay. There's things are on hold.
The thing called Brexit, sadly.
Oh, yeah, that's also true.
Yeah.
Things shipping from overseas tend to, specifically, I guess, the UK, are a little bit different now.
And I should give a shout out to the guys who did the rest of the extras. There's some really good interviews. There's a really good interview with John Dahl. There's a really good video essay by this guy who runs a podcast I was on Monday. Who's doing a thing, watching every film made by a member of the Coppola family. He also had done a podcast called Caged, where he went through every single Nicolas Cage film.
That's work.
Oh, that's incredible.
And there's a nice repo poster and stuff. It's a nice release.
Yeah.
It really is. And it's so get it when it comes out. Yeah, John Dahl is actually still very active when it comes to his career. Like he's doing a lot of television stuff, but it's like a lot of television.
Oh yeah,
stuff.
yeah. I mean,
he's still working.
I know
up
he
until
was
now.
Kind of tricky to set up the interview with, because he was at.
He must be busy.
Yeah.
Because all I see here is just tons of
really good TV
stuff.
work as well, not like crap.
Yeah, I know he did it. Didn't he do an episode of Breaking Bad?
Breaking Bad. He does a lot of Yellowstone at the moment, which makes sense given this film. Done Justified, done all of the big shows more or less.
Yeah. He did one episode of Breaking Bad. He did one episode of Battlestar Galactica. Actually, he did a couple episodes of True Blood. He's worked everywhere pretty much. Californication, Dexter. He did 16 episodes of Dexter. That's a lot. Justified, which I guess also kind of makes sense. The whole Western thing there.
Well, and also Noir as well.
Yeah.
And also Noir as well. Yeah, so he's still working relatively today. So it's nice. I really like getting to see a new interview with the director now, because you get a nice retrospective of them being able to look back at that time and give you significant insider thoughts about what his thought process was at the time. And it's
or how he feels differently about the film now,
or maybe how he feels differently. That's also true. Some directors don't look back fondly at their work.
And I know this is too out of school to say is the guy who compiled the extras, whose name is Mark, who did all the interviews on disc, the one I thought would be the one that he said that he tried to get I thought would be really interesting is he really wanted to interview the uh, exhibitor in San Francisco who basically was like, "This is a really good film," and the distributor was like, "Oh, it's gonna be on HBO in a month."
Yeah.
But he was like, "No, I don't care. I'm going to release this film theatrically, and I'm going to be the U.S. distributor." And film made like 2 million. There's like
Yeah, that was actually one of the more fascinating aspects to your essay is the distribution troubles this movie had just getting it out there and off the ground. They, they didn't want to put it through if this movie came out now, it probably would go through the festival circuit and get picked up by somebody.
oh yeah,
Probably by a streamer or maybe even just another small, like, theatrical distribution company or something. But back then, you're talking early 90s, there was no real stuff like that typically. I mean, there was, but it had to go through, like, the right eyes, essentially.
I mean,
This is actually right before Clerks became a huge indie hit in
it was
94.
Toronto is where it played, and that it played like gangbusters.
Yeah.
But it's already been sold by that point, so it didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it was just kind of exhibiting it. Yeah, so it's a good film. We recommend it to anybody out there who hasn't already seen it. Obviously, there's Blu-rays coming out. See if you can find it for streaming, maybe. But streaming these days, that's a whole other podcast. That's a whole other podcast.
And just some really great performances. I think it might be Cage's most sort of measured performance, but we'll get into that later. And Dennis Hopper is in the film. Flynn Boyle kind of plays like a sort of spin-off from Twin Peaks in a way.
All right. Well, we'll be back. We'll come back to Nicolas Cage at the end of this episode, where we're going to all present 5 of our favorite Nick Cage movies, which I think is just too difficult to really feel good about any list I could make. But I'm going to give you probably more.
These are more recommendations.
They're more at the heart, like what made me fall in love with Nicolas Cage. But we'll get back around to that. So now let's go through. We have a lot of release stuff to kind of cover. We'll try to be as measured as we can be with so much to cover. But where should we start, Andrew?
Do you want to start with Mondo Macabro?
Sure.
I just feel like that's kind of one of the shorter lists we have here. Yeah, Mondo Macabro. We mentioned a couple of their releases last week, and I believe those were actually I think they were re-releases of stuff they had already put out. I was reading that way after we had already recorded that episode, so we may have jumped the gun on that. But these are actually upcoming releases. These are legitimately coming out later in September, actually. So we have In the Folds of the Flesh, Don't Deliver Us from Evil, A Haunted Turkish Bathhouse, House of Terrors, and we were fortunate enough, I guess by happenstance, to actually see one or two of these. I've seen In the Folds of the Flesh. I don't remember the context of which I
don't know why I was watching that,
but I have. Maybe this had leaked and I had already watched it. That may have been what it was. And that may have been what it is. But I know, Steven, you have seen House of Terrors.
Yeah, I got a chance to watch that.
Great title.
But we'll get around to Ian. Can you fill in any blanks here?
I haven't seen any of these.
Oh, really? Okay. So yeah, well, I guess we'll just talk about what we know here. House of Terror or Terrors is very much an Italian Gothic horror film made by the Japanese. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's like a Bava film. It's this wife whose husband has like this heart attack, and in his last moments apparently had something he tried to say, but they couldn't get it out. And so then she finds out he has this like villa that she didn't really know about, that he stayed there a lot and did work there, and she goes there to visit it and check it out and everything. And other family members, like her father-in-law comes there, and some other people, and the house ends up being haunted by this something. And there's this caretaker there who's a hunchback, and he's got more to the plot than gets revealed later on. But it's really well shot. It's really It's a fun movie. I liked it. I might actually pick this one up. If I'm being completely honest, I do not own any Mondo Macabro, and that's not, because I hate. It's not because I hate them or anything.
Quality.
It's just because I only can put my funds towards so many things and haven't paid attention to them. That's my fault as much as I should. And Severin fills that gap a little bit for me, and Vinegar Syndrome fills that gap for me a little bit. But I'm going to try to start paying attention to more of their releases, because this film right here I really enjoyed. And I love Bava. I love Italian Gothic horror stuff, and this kind of fills that area. So yeah. Anything else to say about that genre? Or are you guys fans of Gothic horror?
I'm very much interested in this. I think Japanese horror is so creepy and unique, and actually some of the best horror just films you'll ever see.
Well, America seems to relate to that, because we remake them all the time.
Yeah, because they keep remaking them, but they're not as good.
Yeah.
Because Japanese, they just can push it to like an extra level of just frightening the heck out of people. For example, like if you watch like Ringu or something like that, and then you watch like The Ring, and they're so different tonal wise, and it's a genre that I need to get into more. So I'm kind of glad that these are actually coming out, because even A Haunted Turkish Bathhouse, I believe, is also a Japanese horror film as well. I didn't get to watch it, but it's something that I kind of really wanted to see. I also really wanted to see Don't Deliver Us from Evil. That one I kind of circled when I saw these. It feels like The Craft meets like Ginger Snaps or something like that. And that kind of really piqued my interest. It's about like, the young people getting into, witchcraft and stuff like that. And I just find that rather fascinating. And apparently it was at the 1971 Cannes Film Festival. So
there you go.
There you go there. But I did get to see it in the folds of the flesh. And as Stephen was talking, it all started flooding back to me. And when I did talk about it here on the show previously, and what was so unique about this movie is its third act just kept having plot twist after plot twist after plot twist, to the point where I just kept getting whiplash from everything changing so quickly and so fast. This was a movie that would have its revelations done in the third act in flashback form, but it would keep doing that. And it keep changing the plot and changing the character relationships, that I was like, this is wildly, just a wild way of storytelling. But this is a movie dealing with like blackmail and all kinds of stuff. Essentially, this woman gets caught, I think, burying one of her ex-husbands, and then she ends up putting the person in jail, like framing them for something so that they won't tell on her or whatnot. And then the person ends up coming back later on to try to get revenge. And then things kind of go a little crazy after that. It's psychedelic. It's very giallo. And yeah, I remember being a rather kind of just film that was all over the place, but a lot of weird stuff going on. Gruesome deaths with a lot of like dummies and things. A lot of blood splatters. The usual giallo type of stuff. Murder and deceit, I guess, is kind of a giallo thing. Yeah. So yeah, that is Mondo Macabro. Yet again, another 4 films that all look just endlessly fascinating. So moving on from there, Stephen, where does one want to go? I feel like we have to go to 88
Well,
Fellas.
let's do one that's a one-off here, because I know Ian brought this one up to me that he said he was going to check out, and that's I the Jury.
I couldn't find it, but I did watch the trailer.
Find it.
The trailer is great. The trailer is really fun. It's the first Mike Hammer adaptation. Predates Kiss Me Deadly by 2 years. And the trailer looks like a really fun sort of low budget noir. And it's like, totally sensationalized. And I hopefully will see it at some point. They remade it in the 80s with Powers Booth.
Yeah, they remade it in 1982, and that version is actually out on Blu-ray from Kino, I believe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And this is brand new. I think it's based on a Mickey Spillane.
Yeah, Mickey Spillane. Yeah. Mike Hammer is the character.
A pulp novel. Like a pulp novel. I think it's like the first adaptation of
it's also the first book in the series. There's like 50 of them.
Okay. And what is unique about this release? First of all, we should say it's being put out by Classic Flicks. Classic Flicks is someone we haven't really talked about at all, Steven. But they've put out a lot of kind of classic
Movies
films over the last several
flicks?
years. Yeah, Classic Flicks. Oh my goodness!
It's in the title.
I walked into that
It's
pun.
in the damn
walked
title.
Right into it. Damn it! But they put out things like The Killer Is Loose, T-Men, Raw Deal, He Walked by Night, Another Man's Poison, starring Betty Davis. Yeah, starring Betty Davis. These are all releases that I've circled around for years and haven't bought because I'm an idiot.
Wow.
So that's one of those reasons.
I'm glad you know, Andrew. I'm glad. No, I'm just
I'm
kidding.
glad I know. Like you only live twice. You only live once. Stars, Henry Fonda.
Fritz Lang
Sylvia
it's a
Sidney, I
great
Wanted
film.
That
It's
Forever.
one of the first sort of Lovers on the Run movies. It's really
Yes,
really good.
1937. Yeah, it's one of those late 30s stuff. I really love when a lot of these companies put out films from the 1930s because we're all film noir lovers here. But that 1930s era where you're just getting out of like the pre-code era, like the mid to late 30s, I find such a fascinating time.
And that is
Such a
very
fascinating
much
time.
a predecessor to sort of classic film noir.
Yes, you're kind of getting like a precursor to it. You're like edging into it, like easing into it. Like we're heading down this pathway towards noir. We're not quite there yet. These films are dramatic. They're getting darker, but we're not quite there. But we're gonna
That
get
German
there.
influence hasn't gotten there completely yet.
Yeah, and like You Only Live Once is very much like Ian said, like People on the Run type film. I think later on, or maybe right around the same time, would be like Gun Crazy.
Gun Crazy is about 15 years later.
Oh, I'm way off. Then.
I'm obsessed with
but-
Gun Crazy, so I know.
Okay.
I have the
Okay.
biggest crush on Peggy Cummins like ever.
Underrated actress, very underrated actress. Gun Crazy, which has a Warner Archive release on Blu-ray as well. I think I have it on DVD. And then they announced. Then they of course
Blu-ray's good.
announced,
Got
Blu-ray
a
couple
really
years
good
later.
documentary on film noir, actually.
Yes.
Awesome.
But where was I? Yeah, Classic Flicks. But what is interesting about this release from Classic Flicks is I don't see these types of releases often. This is a 4K UHD release, a 3D version of the film on its own disc as well. So it's in 3D, and the Blu-ray version as well. You don't see that very often or ever. I've never seen that combo before.
There's a first time for everything. I mean, I bet you there was a Marvel movie that did this.
I don't think so. The only thing I can think of is, what was that Robert Rodriguez film that he did recently?
Alita.
It had a 4K and 3D version. I think came together. That's what I remember. But I haven't seen that for a film from this era, really ever. I know the 50s had a lot of the 3D craze, and a lot of them are starting to come out now. And I bring this up all the time. And Ian, I don't know if you're a 3D fan or anything like that, but a lot of those films that were made in 3D in the 50s are starting to get releases now, kind of years now. I think like a good 5 years after the 3D craze has kind of gone away.
Yeah, I mean,
home video.
it's really annoying that like they can't be played on normal TV. It's really
It's like, yeah, I want to see these in their original versions, but it's like 3D TVs are gone.
Yeah.
This exposition is it's just the tech is not there anymore. I mean, you could still find, I guess, used 3D TVs lying around, but they're just not making them anymore. They're not making. I think maybe the high end TVs have 3D capabilities now because they're. I guess we'll just throw this in if you're paying $3,000 for a TV or whatnot, but you don't really see them anymore. Not even the players. So I just find that odd. But that's I the jury. I think Steven, I guess, is the only one here who's seen it.
No, I haven't seen it.
No, I thought you watched it the other night.
No, I was
lied
just
to me.
I was just bringing it up. I said that Ian said he was going to watch it, and then Ian lied to me and said,
I just couldn't find it. I couldn't find it anywhere, even on like some like dodgy places.
Yeah.
But it's a
No,
film
it's-
from 1953, so I think it's fine if I.
No, it's
Yeah,
all
very
good.
true.
There's
But we did get to bring it up anyway, just because the uniqueness of the release is definitely worth mentioning.
And also,
I do have one more single off here.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Might as well.
Synapse.
Oh my goodness! I didn't
Creature
think
from
you were
Black
gonna bring
Lake.
this up.
Creature from Black Lake. Is coming out from Synapse. It's a film
Okay.
from 1976. starring Jack Alem, Dub Taylor, Dennis Fimple. People you probably don't know. I don't know any of them, but this is like a creature movie. This is kind of a creature from the Black Lagoon type of film, with this kind of like ape creature. And I like movies like this. These are movies that no matter how badly they're made, I'm always down to watch them. And
Nice.
It kind of gives me the vibes of shit. I'm blanking on the Severin, the devil, the demon, the dick demon. Night of the Demon. What's that?
No, it's not Night of the Demon. Steven, don't you have the statue on
I'm
it?
holding it right now. Don't you?
Oh, you're holding
I'm just
it right
blanking
now.
on the name of the movie.
Oh, the Bigfoot film.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
It might be called Night of the Demon. I think he might be right.
I think it's the it's just the
I'm
other
on
Night of the
site
Demon.
right now, and I don't think I can type that into the search.
Can you
engine.
not
It'll
put
give me
Dick
anything.
Demon in and it not?
Yeah, I don't think I can do that.
But it brings vibes of that, like in the sense of how the
Okay.
creature is. Like the creature looks like a Bigfoot creature.
Like a Sasquatch
Yeah.
or something like that.
I was very annoyed today that I found out Jesse Eisenberg was playing a Sasquatch, and I was like,
What?
"What? Yes."
Huh?
I was like, "That little weasel is stealing my part."
Is he playing like like the kid? Like it's a newborn or
I
something?
have no idea.
Newborn Sasquatch? Oh man, interesting.
That is
Lex
that is
Luthor and a
fascinating.
Sasquatch.
And yes, it is Night of the Demon.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Cool.
It is. Night
I don't
of the
feel as
Demon.
bad
But,
now.
No, you were right. I'm actually, I'm on their site right now, frantically searching, and you're right. Yeah, that I don't know. I'm not not that I'm a big fan of Bigfoot, like, creature feature type movies. I just haven't seen a lot of them.
What's the one?
I feel like that's one of the legendary like monster folklore type things, which I guess doesn't get a lot of mainstream.
I haven't
type
seen.
of attention.
I haven't seen it,
that
but
and like Loch Ness Monster.
well, I haven't seen it. But what's the one that Bobcat Goldthwait did? It was at Willow Creek.
It's
my
interesting. It's not great.
Yeah, I've heard some people go back and forth on it.
I remember when that trailer came out for Willow Creek.
Yeah.
As a found footage film goes, it's good.
Yeah. Okay,
Which is not
I've
saying
been wanting to check it out.
I think it's on Tubi. It's on one of those you can find.
Tubi's got everything, man. Tubi's amazing.
Tubi does have a lot.
Tubi's amazing.
Tubi does have a lot of good stuff.
But I've always wanted to make like the ultimate Bigfoot film, especially being from Oregon,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
and no
Yeah,
one's
that's-
done it. I mean, the probably the best Bigfoot film is Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Emotional. What emotional? I remember watching. I watched the TV series of Harry and the Hendersons before I even knew there was a movie. That's kind of my
completely
introduction.
the other way around.
Oh, okay. I think that's probably most people because I think the TV series was a.
I don't even know that I'm
spin-off
aware that
version
there
of
was a
that.
TV show. I think when there are like two movies,
And there was one movie.
or was there just one movie? Maybe I
Yeah.
did see the TV show, thinking that the other
But
ones I
it's-
watched.
it is amazing that like that's not a film they've done one of those like crappy direct-to-video sequels to at some point.
Yeah.
That they did for everything else.
There's a really wacky one. Kids like sort of rip off of Harry and the Hendersons called Little Bigfoot. As I saw as a kid,
Okay.
and the Bigfoot is quite creepy looking.
Well, that's.
And that had a sequel.
That's
Well,
fascinating.
I think a lot of times when movies like that get sequels, they're hoping they can get the cult status, and be like a Trolls series or like a any one of them kind of creature series that have made like 6 sequels, and then they've made all the money in home video. Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do, but they can't all succeed.
Well, kind of, yeah.
That's
That's very true. So the Harry and the Hendersons television series ran from 91 to 93
Wow.
for 72 episodes.
72 episodes. How did I miss that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was, and that was my introduction. I think the movie came out, 1989, starring John Lithgow.
Good year.
Good year, I guess. Yeah, we'll get to another good year later on. But since we're in Severin land, since you brought up Night of the Demon, you want to just go with the
Sure.
Severin releases now?
Do it.
Because we do get a couple of them. We got The Changeling is getting a 4K UHD upgrade Coincidentally, a year after I bought the Blu-ray, so that
You know
happens to
what?
everybody, I
I'm
guess.
in the same realm. I bought the Blu-ray probably within the last year.
Yeah, I think it was the first Severin release I ever bought. Actually, was The Changeling, with the slipcover that's a little tight. But Dracula vs. Frankenstein, which Steven was telling me is in the Al Adamson box set.
Yes.
So for those of you who have the Al Adamson box set, you really don't need to be rebuying this. I
think there might be. I think I was listening to the
there some
Seven
features?
Films podcast was talking about, this being pulled out of the set and everything, and I think they did add some extra features potentially.
I don't know. You have it.
Yeah,
I don't.
So there might be more to this that could get more people to buy this.
Well,
maybe.
it looks like there's a second film here. It looks like there's another film in here called Brain of Blood, which is, I guess, another Al Adamson film.
I think that's in the set too. I think
That's also in
Yeah,
the set.
yeah.
Okay, I think this looks like one disc. I don't know if it's two discs or one disc. I can't really tell.
It has
They don't really tell you on the side.
Frankenstein. It's the one to pick. Someone would be like, "Oh, it's a Frankenstein movie."
yeah.
Right. I did actually get to see this, and it is every bit as Al Adamson is as one can guess. Low budgeted, just campy as all hell.
Well, the movie didn't start out being a monster movie at all. Like it started out being like, I think just like a biker movie or something. Like it had nothing to do with it, and then it like became Frankenstein, and then they were like, shit. By the end of it, they were like, fucking, let's throw Dracula in there and have him fight.
Yeah, because Dracula shows up like intermittently.
Yeah, he shows out of
at
nowhere.
first. Even Frankenstein's not in the movie that much, honestly. Yeah. They just kind of put these guys on the cover to kind of market and the title to kind of market the heck out of it. But there is a Dracula v. Frankenstein throwdown in the third act.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Everything else in the movie is just incredibly
it's
wild.
very much the construction of the first Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston that came out recently, where you don't see the monsters fight
That's
at
a
all
comparison?
until the very end.
Yeah, that's a much better film than I think
Yes,
people
it
give
is.
credit
It's
for, and
still
then
better
It's a
movie.
very
than
good
this.
film. I like all three
Yeah,
of those actually.
Yeah, I actually do enjoy those movies, as flawed as they may be, I guess.
Well, yeah, but
I thought the first
most
film
of them
was really good.
they're monster movies. They're not.
Yeah, the monster movies.
I think they try too
the
hard with
kaiju
the human
films.
characters a little bit, but yeah, I mean it's.
Well, they're trying to make us as an audience try to like put ourselves in the movie where all we really want to see is
The monsters fight.
Godzilla or King Kong either fight each other or destroy things. That's kind of why we're here.
Yeah.
we're not here to follow a character journey. But speaking of, there's not really much character journey in this film. So, Steven, you've seen it, I'm assuming.
It's been a while, but yeah, I watched it.
Okay.
I think it was the first thing I watched in this set because I'd heard about it being kind of notorious. And
Yeah, so there's this doctor who is essentially kind of Dr. Frankenstein hanging out at like a carnival, and he's like has like a secret laboratory like behind like the House of Horrors type thing at this carnival, and he's trying to like create the serum, I guess, for something, and he's basically he's having his assistant, who is portrayed by Lon Chaney Jr. That's a Universal Classic Monsters kind of throwback reference there. This was actually his second to last film that he made before he passed away.
He was pretty down
Lon
and
Chaney
out by
Jr.
that point.
yeah.
Yeah, this is what, 1970, when is this even? 1971, 72, somewhere in that era. And he's and he kind of plays his assistant. Doesn't have any lines. He's kind of just a brute. And
Probably was
he's
drinking
using-
a lot, and they're like, let's give him no
He was
lines.
using him.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. So he was just using him to kind of abduct women and then like using this serum to resurrect them, a la Frankenstein.
Did Bill Cosby
So he can, like,
watch this
develop
by
the
any
serum.
chance?
Oh God.
Yeah. And then Dracula shows up randomly and like wants to help him out with doing this. So he's like, "Hey, resurrect Frankenstein," for some whatever reason. And like things ensue from there. It's quite a film. It's quite a film. I think Russ Tamblyn is in the movie. At least that's what it says here. He may play. There's like hippies and people and stuff, but it's campy as all hell. But moving on from there, there is a trilogy of zombie films here called the Plague of Zombie Trilogy. I believe these are Argentinian films. The first one came out in 1997, and you can actually, I think, watch all these on YouTube right now. In not great quality, I will mind you.
Not for much
I'll mind you
longer.
that. They'll probably get taken down because this is their official release. But this is this was probably made in '97 on a video camera and done for the lowest budget, and it's all in one location at one house, and it's as if us three got together and was like, hey, let's go make a zombie movie right now
with the money that we have.
With the money that we have.
Which is none.
And that's Plague of Zombie. And it's fun, it's campy, it's bloody and gruesome. And it reminded me a lot of Dead Alive. There's even a scene where they use a lawnmower to kill some zombies.
Yes.
And that's Dead Alive. And it's a lot of fun.
You bring up lawnmowers. Two of my favorite that I can think of. This is off the top of my head, by the way. But of course, in that movie, Dead Alive, great lawnmower scene. Other one, The Happening, where a dude just lays down in front of a lawnmower and lets it run over him.
Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
Happening, underrated film.
I'm with you, man.
Except for the fact that Mark Wahlberg would go out with Zooey Deschanel.
It makes no sense. Yeah.
It's just no.
Well, it wouldn't make sense. Honestly, it doesn't make sense either way.
Yes.
But
it's just two people who would just have no connection to each other at all.
But the thing is I remember when the film came out at first, and it was everybody hated it. I don't know that I think Shyamalan claimed that he purposely was trying to make a B movie. I don't know that I believe him. But I think he got it. He made a B horror movie that isn't really that great, but it's good. Now that you've had time, you can look at it differently. And when I watch that movie, I half look at it as a comedy because it's he's literally talking to trees. He's talking to house plants. He's like, "Are you okay?" And you know how Mark Wahlberg is. Everything's where he's out of breath, and he's like,
upwards inflection.
What are you doing? Hey guy,
yeah.
Hey, hey plant.
No,
I'll give you some water here.
What is interesting?
And they're running away from the wind in the movie. How do you run away from the wind?
Yeah, we make it a little bit. Well, the thing is, yeah, you're right.
It's
I don't know. There's a lot to say about Mark Wahlberg, I guess.
But I look at that movie differently now because I find it to be hilarious, and it's.
I think there's been a general reappraisal of some of the lesser Shyamalan films over the last couple of years, as he's had a bit of a career resurgence.
Kind of, yeah.
I think a lot of people have gone back and be like, hey, maybe some of those films aren't as bad as we thought, Avatar being the exception.
I think there's even some people who've been trying to reclaim that one.
Yeah, there's no. I'm sorry. I'm going to stop them right now if they hear me. There's no getting around the shittiness of that movie. It's terrible. The source material is so good. He just I don't know what he watched, but it wasn't close to the anime.
You know what I remember most about that movie? Is that
it took 5 people to move one rock? Yeah, stupid.
Yeah. I remember I think it was the 2010 World Cup, they had promos for it, during, while the games were on, and they would show, and they would have, the announcers would have to, you know how they do, coming up from wherever is the Avatar in theaters, blah, 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 and they would show, promos for it. And I just remember that, and then, I also remember the movie coming out and being not well received.
You remember how they had to drop The Last Airbender off the title or they had to call it Last Airbender because they couldn't call it Avatar because of the James Cameron movie, and I was like, really?
Is that what?
Yeah, it was just called The Last Airbender because the James Cameron Avatar movie had just came out the year before.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I know. I remember. Well, over the last couple of years, they've been trying to do another Avatar Last Airbender adaptation
on Netflix. Yeah,
on Netflix. I think that fell apart. I
believe ago. I think it's still. I think it's in either in pre-production or filming. I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be successful.
I
but
quite enjoyed seeing Old and trying to restrain myself from shouting out, "Missouri fucking breaks." What's the film where Marlon Brando and Jack Nicholson? It's Missouri fucking breaks.
But back to Severin and Plague of Zombies. So this is, like I said, this is a trilogy of films. And the first film, I think it's just called I think it's just called Plague a Zombie. Steven, I'm trying. Yeah, hold on. Let me go to my watch list.
Yeah, you're asking the wrong guy. I didn't get to watch.
I guess I am asking. Yeah, I think it's called the Plague. Yeah, Plague a Zombie as the first film, then Plague a Zombie Zone that Mutante, and then Plague a Zombie Zona Mutante Revolucion Toxica.
Whoa.
There you go. And I think there may be another one after that or two. I'm not sure. But anywho, these low-budgeted zombie films, they're putting out that trilogy. And then after that, there's a couple of other things that we want to mention here. We don't really cover a lot of TV, but I guess this may be appropriate to mention. They're putting out Tales to Keep You Awake, which was a kind of Spanish language Twilight Zone type series that came out in the 1960s. They came out from 66 to 68, if I remember correctly. And then there was a TV special in 1974 and then a 1982 miniseries, and that's all included here on this set here. And this is a 2-disc set as well as the first film we talked about. And so that's something to mention. I know a lot of people were buzzing about that because I've actually never heard of this before.
Quite interesting. So
yeah,
it adapts stories by Ray Bradbury, Edgar Allan Poe, Robert Bloch.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I mean,
it sounds very.
And Severin's been doing great with Spanish film in their catalog. With the Eloy de la Iglesia films and some other ones. But
would it be great if they could get that Del Toro Cuarón series from the late 80s. Because they had like a Twilight Zone in the late 80s where they cut the teeth.
He's about to have a new show. Isn't Del Toro about to do another
Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yeah.
Yeah, which looks like his version of like an anthology series of like Twilight Zone type episodes. Like that's his wheelhouse. That's what he loves. He loves that type of stuff. I mean, I think he's working also on his Pinocchio film.
Yeah, both will be out by the end of the year.
Yeah, more Del Toro on the way. I did actually like Nightmare Alley.
My favorite film of the year so far. It came out in January year, so.
Yeah.
Cool. I know. Yeah, I do know that the UK does get a lot of stuff much later than the US does. Sometimes.
Yeah, I love the them going back to the kind of the original idea for the ending in this one.
Oh yeah,
in the new one, yeah.
And just Kate Blanchett when she goes, "I'll live."
Yeah.
Just early.
Yeah, talk about a good cast. My goodness.
Perfect
Bradley
casting.
Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Toni Collette, Willem Dafoe, Rooney Mara, Richard
God,
Jenkins,
I wanted more Willem Dafoe in the movie.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's a busy guy though.
Dude, he's doing everything.
Oh yeah, I was just saying. He's doing everything.
He's doing every Wes Anderson movie. He's doing every
Robert Eggers.
Robert Eggers film. He's doing everything. I love the man.
I actually really liked The Northman.
Oh yeah.
I liked it.
I
need to revisit it. I need to watch it again, but it's not my favorite of Eggers so far. The Lighthouse is still the best
3 movies
for me. But
I still think that The Witch may be my favorite. Although The Lighthouse,
The Lighthouse is amazing.
The Lighthouse is my favorite.
Yeah.
Even
without
maybe
Anya.
I'm leaning towards The Lighthouse. I think you guys convinced me.
Yeah. Okay, I've changed my mind.
I'm thinking of Unhinged, just Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
That's the only thing running through my head. But moving on, where was I? Oh yeah, we're back on Severin. So, speaking of something that's a little bit unhinged, My Grandpa is a Vampire, or as it's also titled, Grampire, starring Al Wilson. I think it's Al Wilson.
Al
right?
Lewis.
Al Lewis. Why did I say Al Wilson? Don't know what I'm thinking of.
They're both they're both generic white names. I don't know.
They both named Al. I guess.
Wilson.
But Al Lewis played the grandpa in The Munsters.
Yeah.
The TV series back in the 60s.
Speaking of which, I just bought the
movies.
complete Munsters box set. It arrived today.
Nice. Just in time for the upcoming movie that everyone seems to not.
I think it looks all
want to happen.
right. It's gonna.
But this is the thing. This is what I don't understand. I don't understand why people don't feel this way about it. Obviously, Rob Zombie through his career takes very much distinct visual cues from his favorite types of movies, specifically grindhouse cinema, and like he's doing that here. He's making the Munsters movie look like it was shot for a TV today, like a TV show. Very, very plastically, very like HD looking, where it looks fake, like everything looks fake.
He's making the Munsters look like the monsters.
Yeah, he's
and I guess it just doesn't translate well to a modern.
he's not trying
audience.
to make the aesthetics look like super spooky and real. It's supposed to look fake.
Not only that, he's not trying to transport the monsters to today's world and today's filmmaking. It looks like he's trying to keep it within the monsters realm and essentially make his own monsters movie. It feels like I don't know if I said this online. It feels like, remember the Flintstones film with John Goodman?
Yeah.
And it looks like similar to what they tried to do with that. As goofy as that is, that's the way the Flintstones is as a cartoon on screen, and that's the way it would look in live action. Hence, that's what I think. This monsters film.
I'm not a huge fan of Zombie, but I have to defend him a little bit here because I think that the aesthetics.
I'm just curious what he's going with, and I think that's what he's
well,
going.
Also, the thing with the monsters is they're totally trashy.
Yeah,
that's the difference with them in the Addams Family.
Oh yeah, it was a super low budgeted.
No. As characters, they're kind of trash compared to the Addams Family. So it actually kind of works. I think Wednesday looks like a much better thing, but. Let's not digress.
Oh yeah, there can't be. They're goofy. I mean, the Addams Family is a little more. I guess
they're more sophisticated.
Not highbrow. That's what I would
say.
So
what we're saying here is we need a Addams Family versus the Munsters movie, and we're never going to get it.
Like that crossover, Flintstones meets the Jetsons.
Yeah.
One of my favorite crossovers ever. But yeah, that new Addams Family actually does look really good. The new
I'm all for it. I definitely
series.
want to check it out when it comes out, and even the Addams Family one. Yeah, the Wednesday movie.
I think I bought probably this. I bought a DVD set of the Monsters years ago, as well, just so I could have it, because I think streaming when it comes to classic TV is kind of up in the air most of the time. I kind of just wanted it.
Oh, okay, cool.
It is okay.
Cool.
I think I bought it before. Like any of this was like a thing.
Yeah,
like
the DVDs,
before HBO Max, before Peacock,
ancient.
before.
Yeah,
but I started off.
It was like buy
TV
one
series.
get one 70% off. So I was buying some HBO stuff, and I was
away.
like, "Oh, Monsters for like £8." The complete only
every single
season.
Every single year, like during like that October fall slate, the Addams Family complete series on DVD, like the original series, always goes on sale. And then every year I was like, I gotta buy it. I never do. I never do. And just because I want it, I wouldn't hold out hope for a lot of classic TV to ever get Blu-ray releases. For anyone out there listening, I say that I've said it a few times here on the show. I don't think that's gonna happen with a lot of these series ever.
Hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it again. They've tried, and it's worked in some cases, and in other cases,
there's just not a market for it.
And especially the way TV is streaming-wise, it's just not a market, you're right. But there may be a market for Al Lewis as Grandpa, or a vampire who's a grandpa in this. It's kind of Al Lewis playing the same role he played in The Munsters in this movie, where there's this young kid who goes to visit his family in New Zealand, and he, I think it's New Zealand or Australia, it's someplace in that area, and his grandpa kind of passes away while he's there and then comes back as a vampire. And it's him trying to like keep his grandpa from being chased down by people. And it's a fun, nice family comedy that came out in like 1993. I enjoyed it. You can find a VHS like uploaded version on YouTube if you want to watch it. But it's
part of the Severance Kids line.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, I bet it is. Is there a Severance Kids?
Yeah. They got films that they put it's like a sub label called Severin Kids. Like I think they put Five Finger.
Oh God, there is.
Drop Dead Fred. I can't say it. Damn.
Oh yeah,
I think Drop Dead Fred was in there.
Is that really a kids film now?
I think that they put it in that line. I believe.
Yeah, there is actually a logo on the box that says Severin Kids. I thought you were kidding.
No, I don't make up shit. I don't make up shit like that.
I don't know. You're a jokester.
I am a jokester, but that's how I keep you from guessing whether I'm joking or not.
I guess that's true. Yeah, there is a Severin Kids line. They sell merchandise too.
Probably you can get a shirt for your newborn.
Yeah, I can. I'm getting this one for this is the first movie she's getting.
Yeah, they have like there's a couple of releases here, like the Peanut Butter Solution. They've got some animated stuff. Oh, When the Wind Blows. I don't know if that's
God. That's not a
They
kids
got that as
movie.
part of their Seven Kids line.
Jesus Christ. We were talking about that the other day. That's the movie I was talking
We were talking
yeah.
about that the other day.
Yeah, that's not a kids movie.
No, it's not. No, it's not. But yeah, you're right. Cool. So that's
Well, the
my
big
event.
kind of headliner here is the Changeling 4K.
Yes, that's the big one.
Ian, I'm guessing you've seen the Changeling?
I've seen it. I meant to rewatch. I just didn't have time. I'm not huge on it, to be honest. I
Yeah.
know people really love it. I don't find Peter Medic a very good director, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, this is iconic for some of the scenes. The ball bouncing down the stairs. George C. Scott. I think it's a really good performance of his later in his career. I'm kind of with you. Like, I like the movie. I don't hold it as high as some others, but I do like the movie. And I'm hearing, just listening to Andrew Furtado, who obviously worked on this from Severin. Apparently, the new 4K is amazing. The work they did on it to get it, because apparently the Blu-ray, just some people complained about the look of the Blu-ray, and I mean, I found it to be fine, but some people didn't like it. And apparently this upgrade here is a worthwhile purchase, and it also is including the soundtrack on here. So yeah, and then I'm guessing all the original supplements are all coming back for this release. So anything else to add on the Changeling, Andrew?
No, I mean, it's a George C. Scott in one of his. I wouldn't even say later roles, because he did work all the way up until like the late '90s. So it's George C. Scott, post Patton, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And it's him in a notorious ghost story. It's one of the more famous, more well known, more well loved, I guess you could say, like ghost story when it comes to the horror genre.
All right.
I like it. I think it's very good.
All right.
Little, it's like you can kind of predict a couple of things, but that's kind of the way horror genre kind of goes.
It's all about when it comes to.
It's all about the atmosphere.
The atmosphere, the execution. How can you tell a story, and it can be story wise and beat wise. It can be the same, but can you tell it in an visually interesting way that can keep the audience from being bored? That's kind of what you can do. But
I would say I think of the Peter Medic stuff I've seen, the one I found most interesting was the Quays.
I don't think I've seen that one.
It's about gay gangsters in the '60s in London.
Oh,
cool!
That sounds very interesting.
Written by Philip Ridley.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow!
And he kind of made it into a sort of slightly fantastical thing because it's Philip Ridley.
Nice. I actually want to check that out.
It's quite interesting. It stars the two brothers from Spandau Ballet.
Okay.
And they're not bad in it.
All right. Well, let's move on to 88 films.
Yeah, 88. Yeah, so 88 had a bunch of releases. Some were early in the week. We had some late arrivals and later on in the week, so please bear with me as I scroll through multiple pages to get all this straightened out.
Well,
early on this week, a couple of things came out release-wise, information. First up here is Blood and Diamonds. And next up here is Gorgeous, Jackie Chan film. And then after that is The Iceman Cometh, or just Iceman Cometh.
The Iceman Cometh is a very different.
Yeah. I'm gonna say I get. Yeah, it's very different. This is a Chinese film.
Yeah.
And then later on in the week, they had Cannibal Holocaust is getting both a 4K and a Blu-ray release. I believe it's already been released on Blu-ray in the past.
Oh, yeah.
And I think this 4K may be the first time it's in 4K.
And that's a UK release.
And then,
so
these are UK
if
releases.
you are like totally like you have to have the uncut version, you should probably not buy this release because it will miss 4 seconds of the film. We all know what 4 seconds it is. And it's it is what it is. I actually
Right.
I've only seen it once. I actually met Is it Rugato? The director. What's the director's name of it?
Diato.
Ruggiero
Yeah,
Diodato.
I met him after seeing it.
Oh, wow. Was it at like a
Yeah.
screening?
It's about like 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, wow.
Sadly, the cinema's not
Oh,
open at
wow.
the moment, but they're opening, I think, early next year. I much prefer his film, Live. Oh, what is it? Live like a man, die. Live like a cop, die like a man,
Oh,
which is a great Italian cop movie. And the thing about that film is, you would say that the two cops should get a room because they clearly love each other so much, but then they actually live in the same room.
Oh man.
It's very homoerotic,
Okay. So
like a
it's
ridiculous degree.
and that's a film he did before
Yes,
Cannibal
yeah.
Holocaust. I think everyone listening and everyone who hasn't
Yeah,
even
I think
seen the
anyone
movie
who is listening to this podcast knows what Cannibal Holocaust.
knows about Cannibal Holocaust. You know, it's a notorious video nasty. It's one of the most notorious graphic films of all time. All kinds
With a
of
banger of a
folklore
theme
and
too.
legend behind it. Yeah, it's one of the more well known, like controversial films ever.
up there with the
it-
Serbian film, kind of.
Yeah,
Sallow.
it's up there.
Yeah, Sallow.
It's
yeah.
Salo. Yeah, and it's been available. It's one of those things. I think I got in a whole big tiffy about somebody. I don't know. It was a while ago. I didn't get it, but it was just people online commenting about how like, I guess certain movies like aren't available to be seen, and I'm like, Cannibal Holocaust has been on Blu-ray since 2014. There's no, there's so much out there for people to watch that's available. It's like we can't be complaining. You know what I mean?
And then
Too
Vinegar
much.
Syndrome's filling in all the blanks, like
Pretty
things
much.
that,
yeah, with a lot of those video nasties. And yeah, this is like Ian said, a UK release, both 4K and on Blu-ray. Because I think the rights for it here in the US are with Grindhouse Releasing. They're the ones who put out the Blu-ray several years
But
ago.
someone may have picked up the rights since then, so who knows?
Yeah, I'm trying to. There was another.
I was going to say, I
release here.
think
I'm not sure who that
I
was.
think a Severin or might have put it out.
Maybe Code
Severin
Red, maybe?
or maybe yeah.
I don't know. There's actually two Grindhouse releasings for it. There's one from 14 and one from 2018, which I think is
More recent.
some type of exclusive. But I would not be surprised if someone else picks it up. But I don't know if those rights are even up yet. But once again, with 4K, you can play it here on 4K is region free, so you can play it here on your player, no problem. And yeah, so the earlier releases from this week, I think, were the U.S. releases for 88 films, and then the later ones we saw, like within the last day or two, are the UK releases. And I think that was the main kind of difference why they were separated. And so Cannibal Holocaust is UK, Iceman Cometh UK. Ladies Who Do Vigilante, and I think Maniac as well is getting a Blu-ray release.
And
now
you
we
mentioned,
know
did
Vigilante.
you mention Vigilante?
Yeah. He
It's
just said it. He
just-
said it
I
really
just-
fast.
Yeah.
They blurred for a second.
Yeah, I just said it right now. Yeah, so Vigilante and Maniac, which here in the U.S. have Blu-ray and 4K releases from Blue Underground. And there were a lot of people apparently complaining yesterday that 88 Films is not putting these out in 4K
Just
in
import
the
it.
UK.
Gee.
And then it was like imported, exactly. Like, if you
It's a
really
much
want
smaller
it,
market here. It's like
yeah. Not only that, it's probably expense-wise for 88 Films. Also, we don't know what type of deal they worked out with Blue Underground.
well,
to
probably
have
it would be William Lustig,
like-
who I know can be difficult.
Yeah, and he owns
He owns the rights
most
to
of his work.
Yeah.
He owns the rights to Vigilante and Maniac. And he's put those out a couple of times. And so I know those got released. Yeah, those got released here. They're getting releases there. And it's kind of just nice that I guess those movies are getting more notoriety outside of the market here.
Yeah, it's a cool Robert Forster, kind of underseen film that.
Oh, Vigilante,
Yeah.
Yeah, Vigilante I think is
I'm actually going to
really,
finish
really
it after we talk. Actually, I was watching.
Okay,
Nice.
yeah, cool.
Nice. But there's some other stuff here. I feel like this was already announced, and they're just kind of re-announcing it now. On the Run, is getting a. I feel like this was already announced, wasn't it?
Yeah, I
Steven?
remember us talking about that on the run.
I
Yeah.
remember I was talking about it because right now my head is getting all messed up with who's putting out which film in which area because sometimes right now I think 88 Films and a couple of the other titles, a couple of other studios and Eureka as well as Arrow are all kind of like teaming up and putting out releases of the same movie in different places, and I'm having a tough time dealing with what's getting released where. And I couldn't remember if On the Run was one of those movies that was getting both a release in the UK and a release here, but I think this is a UK release.
Okay.
Yeah, On the Run. Let's see if there's anything else.
I think that's it.
That's about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gorgeous, I actually did get to see. It's a Jackie Chan film. It's a Jackie Chan film that came out in 1999. It's actually a romantic comedy, if you could wrap your head around that.
Which
Not
he
really,
wrote.
but
Did he write it?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That kind of makes it...
I haven't got. I bought a DVD of it to watch. I haven't really had the time to do it. But he does a commentary
I like
on
it.
the DVD. It's actually quite packed for like a really old DVD. There's like a documentary on it and everything.
Oh, wow.
So
I'm
it
kind
was
of
released by
fascinated that.
Sony in the UK.
Oh, okay. I kind of really want... I'm actually contemplating getting it because I actually really enjoyed the movie. It kind of gets a little bit away from itself after its initial premise of like, there's this woman who she's kind of a hopeless romantic and she trying to find love and whatnot, and she finds this message in a bottle and she ends up going and kind of finding the person, and it turns out to be Tony Leung, actually. It was in a lot of releases this week, coincidentally. Tony Leung, but he's not, she and him are not really interested because he comes out, he's actually gay, and it was a love letter written to another man and whatnot. But she ends up running into Jackie Chan's character, who is like this big, like, super rich, wealthy business person.
So like Jackie
He's
Chan.
kind of like... He's
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
like Bruce Wayne meets Jackie Chan because he's got like this extravagant house with these nice cars, and it's like, is he secretly Batman? I was wondering, but they end up having a romance and whatnot, and the movie kind of goes from there. He has a business rival. I won't give anything away, but it's a nice romantic comedy, and I actually find
well,
myself
you know, I'm
enjoying
gonna get it. I don't miss the Jack.
Oh, you get all the
I
Jackie
get all the
Chans.
Jackie Chan stuff. Yeah.
But there was another 88 Films release that was announced yesterday that I wanted to mention, and that is Magnificent Warriors.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. There is.
Michelle Yeoh is in this movie, and this came out in 1987. Great year.
Oh,
Harking back
Jesus.
to Steven. And then, but this is Michelle Yeoh, who of course now people know her as being in, at least in my opinion, one of the better films of the year, Everything Everywhere All at Once. And she's been a great actress for
Oh yeah, years.
forever anyway. But this is just another one of her catalog of films that's getting a release. So I'm very interested in that. I kind of wanted to watch it before the show, but I didn't get a chance to. But I wanted to mention it, so I had to go and look for it. So, yeah, I think that's all of 88 Films.
Yeah, they sometimes they just come in and dump a whole bunch of stuff.
Well, and it's usually not typically through their social media directly, so you kind of have to go digging for them. You got to go around to see.
Well,
where
I
all these
know
releases are coming from.
that the pretty small operation. It's like when I haven't dealt with them in a long time, but when I dealt with them, it was like literally like two people in a bedroom
Yeah.
sort of scenario.
Yeah. They're a small operation, but they do great stuff. So yeah, let's move on to, you want to do Criterion?
Yes.
Yeah, here we go. There come the big players are here, I guess. Steven, do you want to run these down?
Sure.
Because we got 5 releases
5 releases and I think 7 movies.
for November.
So starting out, we have one that I think it's been kind of teased around for a while, and that's the Infernal Affairs trilogy. And this is the trilogy, Chinese trilogy. The first the series that kind of inspired Martin Scorsese's The Departed. We'll get back to that in a little bit. Also, we have Daisies, and then we have a film called we have a couple film. You know these films. These I don't even have to. These are all pretty big films. In the Mood for Love's getting a 4K release. That's already been released a couple of times. Of course, through the Wong Kar-wai set as well. Also getting a 4K release is Power of the Dog, which is. Did it win the Oscar last year?
Nope.
It did not.
No, it lost.
Film called Coda won.
Yes, Coda did win.
Coincidentally, Coda doesn't even have a
Blu-ray
release
yet.
It
It's an Amazon. It's an Amazon release.
No, it's Apple. It
Apple.
has one in I think Italy.
Okay.
Oh, gee.
It's like
maybe one day.
Come on.
Maybe one day, but
I don't know who Apple teams up with. I don't know if they put most.
Some of the
stuff
TV
on
shows have
physical
came
media.
out.
Okay, that actually does make sense.
Power of the Dog 4K is getting a release here, and then also it's getting its own separate Blu-ray. Same to be said for Malcolm X. The Spike Lee film is getting a 4K and a Blu-ray.
This has been a long time rumored.
Yeah, long time rumored. I mean, Spike Lee's definitely got a relationship with.
And I'm just going to say about fucking time.
Yeah.
Especially, I feel like this
when they released the shit Malcolm X film.
Yeah, it feels like this has just been like we've been waiting for this for so long. I don't know what took forever for this. Maybe they wanted to do the right thing first and then do this film.
That was always one of the big sellers. Do the right thing.
Right. And so this slate, this is another great slate. These last few slates that we've gotten from them, I mean, have been just incredible stuff. I mean, just great work. And this is no exception.
And obviously,
the end of the year,
Criterion's been, they've been amping up the 4K. They've been doing a lot of 4K, and everybody was waiting for them to come.
When we first started?
Yeah, remember when everybody was like, "Why ain't Criterion done 4K yet?" Well, it's because they were fucking getting ready.
We crapped on them. We went at them, not hard, but early on in the podcast, we were like, I don't know when they're going to get into it. I don't know what's going on. And then now they're coming at it like extra hard. And I know that for a fact because during this recent sale at Barnes & Noble, I just went crazy and bought like a bunch of their releases that I have, all around me now. But
I've got Kane.
Ian, what are you most excited about?
Well, Malcolm X.
Okay.
Because that's probably the one I'm going to buy.
Yeah.
Because should we do a bit on Daisy? Because I'm one of the biggest fans of Daisy's ever. So.
Yeah. So I actually wanted. Yeah, actually a good thing because I actually watched it for the first time this week, and I did end up liking it. And it's actually an interesting release because it's one of the rare occasions where something that's been released in an Eclipse set has gotten an upgrade to not only its own individual release, but an upgrade to Blu-ray. They don't do this very often. Just off the top of my head, I know the films in the early Bergman set, which I think is Eclipse set number 1, got a Blu-ray releases in the big set.
Didn't they also
the big Bergman set?
Wing, The Ascent.
Okay.
The Russian.
Okay, that was another one.
Yeah. Didn't they do?
So
I don't think they did. This wasn't an Eclipse, but they did take one of the films out of the Martin Scorsese sets.
They did do that.
Was it? Starts with a T. Shit.
Oh, is it Tuki Buki?
Yeah, that's it.
Is it
Tuki Buki? I think they did a single
just
release of that.
Yeah, it is Tuki Buki, and it is part of the Martin Scorsese set.
Yeah.
So it's not an everyday occurrence that happens, but this is a Czechoslovakian film. This is part of their Eclipse set of Pearls of the Czech New Wave, I believe. Yep. And it's getting a new 4K digital restoration, and this was the first time I had seen the movie. It's directed by probably someone whose name I can't
do it either, but I think it's like Vera
Chitolova.
That sounds about right.
Alovo?
Maybe I should take a stab.
I don't want to butcher it out of how much respect I have for her. So
yeah, because she's a great director. There's actually a whole collection of her work on the Criterion Channel to be watched right now, including Daisies. That's where I watched it. And Daisies, Ian, you can probably say a lot more about it than I can. This is a bold movie.
Yeah. So Daisies was a film that she made. She came out of the same film school as like Milos Forman, and her earlier stuff is kind of more of that sort of much more realistic sort of dramas and stuff. And sort of slightly satirical. But Daisies is about these two girls in the late 60s, well, mid 60s. Is it 66 or 68?
It says here
So
1966.
66, yes, the mid 60s, who are basically complete litter anarchists who basically takes these guys for a ride and have these meals with them, and it becomes increasingly trippy and surreal and ends in a very explosive manner.
Yeah, it's the
And the film
film
was
is very
banned
much a,
by the
oh yeah, I
Soviets.
believe it was. Yeah, I was reading that it was actually banned because it has the same. It's such an anarchic film in term, but anarchy in the sense it's rebelling against society, really. And now, and it's
And
like Ian said, it's
needed to at that
surreal.
point, and still does for that matter.
Yeah,
But
it's like anti-patriarchy. It's like anti-establishment. It's
well,
anti-rules. It's just
so
anti-everything.
she's often considered a feminist filmmaker. She absolutely hated being called a feminist
Oh,
because she just thought it
okay,
was a Western term, and she
very much
yeah.
so.
So she always said she was an individualist, and it's a very individualistic
I could
film,
see that.
in
Yeah,
a
this is
sort of
very.
anarchist form of individualism, not
Yeah,
like
it's
sort of right wing libertarian individualism. It's very much I'm just gonna do what I want, but not harm others sort of thing.
no, it's very nihilistic in its approach
But
to like the actions
I
of
also
these
think it's full of
individuals.
life. It's not. I wouldn't say it's nihilistic.
Mm,
I think there's definitely a
yeah,
just for
well,
life
because they're
in it.
yeah, it's weird because it's both. Like they're nihilist in the sense that they're kind of you know they're in their pursuit of certain things because they're just kind of they don't really care about the consequences per se. They have this philosophy of basically they view the world as being a spoiled place, and therefore they're going to be spoiled themselves, like go for get whatever they want whenever they want and manipulate every situation for their benefit. And it just gets more and more trippy
And
from
just
there.
have
I
fun.
mean,
I mean, it's also
there's a
just a
whole
very
food
fun
fight
film
scene.
to watch.
Yeah, and it's in the movie's only
75 minutes.
76 minutes long. It's not a long movie, and it gets very much to the point. And there's no real central plot. We're kind of describing it to you right now, but we can't really describe it to you because it's just a
It
series of
it
random events. And the scene transitions in this movie is
it
incredible.
seems very punk rock.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Very much
yeah.
so. I mean, I want to get your take on this. Did it feel kind of similar to you as A Clockwork Orange, but not as hateful or not
Um,
as harsh? I just felt like it.
I mean, I mean, I would say the film it's probably the most similar to would be Funeral Parade of Roses, if you guys have seen that.
Okay.
Hmm.
Oh, that's it's a very different movie, but that's a Japanese film about um sort of I guess what you would say is the transgender today, there's
Mm.
called gay boys in it, but they live
Oh,
as
okay.
women essentially, and that has a very free flowing sort of psychedelic quality to it, and there's some shots and edits that are quite similar to Daisy's.
The reason why I thought it felt like A Clockwork Orange is Alex DeLarge felt like he had a similar type of life outlook philosophy, but he was just more cruel about it. Whereas the two characters in this movie are more playful and more selfish in that regard. Alex DeLarge felt
Actually,
like
I would
he was
say
purposely
if it's
relishing
more
in
like if
like being terrible.
it's
Yeah.
much more like the film if you guys have seen if.
Okay. Yeah. That makes a little more. That's a better comparison. In Lindsay Anderson's If, which is also coincidentally part of the Criterion Collection. That's a movie that couldn't be released today. not in any regard. But yeah, Daisies is I think the film that people were buzzing about a lot when it came to this
It's
slate.
definitely a film that
Obviously,
has kind of grown in stature, and I would say it's probably my favorite film directed by a woman, to be honest.
yeah, I think it's definitely a film that cinephiles definitely know about and gravitate towards. Um, In the Mood for Love is, of course, the Wong Kar Wai masterpiece. A lot of people are upset that this is getting a 4K UHD release so soon after it just got put in that box set, and people are still arguing, still fighting, still complaining about certain changes and things that Wong Kar-wai made to several of the movies. Now, when it comes to color palette and aspect ratio and all that kind of stuff and color timing, which obviously this release is going to have the new color timing, which is, upsets a lot of people, but it that's what he prefers, so that's what he's going with. This is another film, obviously, starring Tony Leung, who, like I said, is all over this week's slate of releases. And of course, the luminescent Maggie Cheung is in this film as well. This film just about longing for romance. So it's a masterpiece. I don't think a lot more needs to be said about it.
Yeah, I think everyone who likes film
I think everyone who collects Criterions probably has this in some way.
At least once or twice.
Yeah, they maybe have the DVD, or they maybe have the first Blu-ray release, or the Wong Kar-wai set.
Yeah, I think this also got another 4K in the UK somewhere.
No, it's not out on. It doesn't have a 4K in the UK.
Isn't?
I think it might be Germany.
Maybe it's Germany.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, In the Mood for Love, and In the Mood for Love did get a 4K release in Germany in 2021. And I think they're putting out a lot of his work on 4K in Germany, but they don't have English subtitles, I think, on them or something. There was something like that. And so it didn't really help us to import those, because unless you speak fluently Chinese, then have at it. But yeah,
I do, Andrew. I do.
I wish to be honest, if I had, how they have one of those, like, hey, what superpower would you like? Everyone picks like the usual flight, super strength, whatever. Knowing every language would be kind of cool. I don't know.
I guess if you traveled a lot, if you had the money to travel.
I guess. But I mean, we live in such a melting pot of cultures that you could
maybe
talk to anyone.
Maybe use Spanish in America. That's it.
Well, yeah, Spanish. Chinese,
maybe a little bit
Japanese.
of French up north.
Well, I mean,
maybe
it depending on where you live. To be honest, depending on who culture you're exposed to. But speaking of which, there's a terrible transition there. But The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion's film. This was one of my favorite films of last year. I was rooting hard for this.
Sam Elliott loves it too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's one of his favorites.
It's one of his favorites.
It's his perfect adaptation of what a cowboy is.
Exactly how cowboys are supposed to be.
Exactly how he loves it. Yeah.
them and their chaps.
Yeah, them and their chaps. But this is a film starring Kirsten Dunst, Cody Smith-McPhee, Benedict Cumberbatch, and Jesse Plemons.
And Thomas McKenzie for 5 seconds.
Yeah. And this takes place in the 1920s, and this is just a mythical kind of character study, and I thought it was just an incredibly amazing movie. I'm glad this is finally getting some type of release. So what did you guys think of it?
I liked it. I thought Cumberbatch, but Cumberbatch was woefully miscast.
I remember you saying that.
I think I have to agree with you. Yeah.
I remember you saying that on Facebook a lot.
Yeah, I said a lot about it. I mean, I just didn't buy him as like a cowboy. I mean, and like you needed someone who had a bit of a mystique of being this very masculine guy, which Cumberbatch just isn't. So
right.
What I said was like Guy Pearce 20 years ago would have been perfect.
I mean, shit.
Viggo Mortensen would have been perfect.
You know who would be good? We were just talking about him. Noir Alley, Bradley Cooper. I think Bradley Cooper could have done it.
He would have been good. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got more of an edge now than he's had in the past.
Yeah.
I found that, Cumberbatch, for what the character is and for what, I guess our perception of him, I thought he did a very fine job. I thought he was very, very good in the film. And it also kind of maybe plays into not to give too much away, plays into the idea of what this film is saying about the idea of a cowboy, in quotes, what they're supposed to be, in our mythic minds of like what a cowboy has been given to us through pop culture. We think of certain icons in cowboys like a John Wayne,
Sam Elliott,
this kind of stuff. Sam Elliott is another one where he thinks he's a cowboy and whatever.
Actually, he's from the West. He's from Portland, Oregon.
Isn't he? Oh, I thought he was. I thought
Well,
he was
no,
he definitely lives a life similar to like I know he has his own ranch and everything.
My
Too.
homeboy.
Yeah, he has like ranches and stuff.
He's still not a
More
cowboy.
of a cowboy than Benedict Cumberbatch. That's
Definitely. I can't argue with
very
that.
true. I guess that's what acting is all about.
Yeah.
But I just felt like it was kind of breaking down our ideas of what the cowboy is and giving us like Benedict Cumberbatch as being kind of an unbelievable cowboy. Kind of, I guess, works into breaking that facade. That was my interpretation of that. And yeah, I think Jane Campion is a great director. I think this is. She's been in the collection a few times. I know the piano.
Yeah, I was going to say the piano just got put in.
Angel at the top. I'm not a huge fan of hers. I really, really do not like the piano at all.
Oh, okay.
I know, it's one of those sort of films that people.
It was okay, yeah.
I think you and Steven are on the same.
My problem with it is she's far too academic, but not in an entertaining way.
Okay.
But I actually, of the films of hers I've seen, this is by far my favorite, and I thought Kirsten Dunst was fantastic.
I love Kirsten Dunst.
Oh yeah. Kirsten Dunst is really.
She's gonna win that Oscar one day. She just keeps getting.
One day, she's getting close.
She keeps getting leaped over.
Cody, whatever his name is.
Cody Smith-McPhee.
It's always good.
Really good. So. Yeah, I've seen a few of her films. Obviously, The Piano. A Sweetie is another one of the films, or early film from her that's in the Criterion Collection as well. I think that finally has a Blu-ray release.
Yeah, Sweetie. I don't think Angel at the Table does. They're on Criterion Channel anyway.
Yeah, there's a bunch of her stuff on there. There's a lot of her work I still need to see. I saw a couple of her short films that were also on the Criterion Channel. Like An Exercise in Discipline, and
There's
seen
one of those. I watched
Story.
all the shorts. There was one I quite liked.
Okay.
I think it's the one Alex Proas, the guy who did The Crow in Dark City, actually worked on, of all people.
Oh, Alexander
Who's
Proas.
an asshole, by the way.
Yeah, his career's not going particularly well. As of late.
A Girl's Own Story, I thought, was quite good.
Yes. That was very good. She also was, I don't know if she was a producer or director of the Top of the Lake.
Yeah, she directed that
series, and there were two parts to that. I never saw the second part, but the first part I did see back in 2013. Feels like several lifetimes ago. Starring Elizabeth Moss, David Wenham.
So you mean my girlfriend who looks like Elizabeth Moss?
Very much so.
Except she's not a Scientologist.
Except that, yeah. That's something that Elizabeth Moss does not talk about. I don't even think they bring it up in interviews.
They have a few times, but she's definitely not said much.
She's not interested. With a lot of those actors and actresses, I don't know if they just got really good publicists or really good agents, but they never bring up any of that when they're doing their press tours. But that is The Power of the Dog. And then let's move on to kind of this box set, I guess you could say, of the Infernal Affairs trilogy. Now, I spent last night watching all three of these films back to back to back, all 6 hours of it. And I think most people are familiar with Infernal Affairs and the first film coming out in 2002, because most people, I think, have seen Martin Scorsese's The Departed.
Yeah.
And that needs a Blu-ray re-release beyond anything. Come on, by this point, give us the 4K release, because that Blu-ray from 2007 is just not cutting it. It is just not cutting it anymore. So come on, Warner Brothers or whoever has the rights to that, just give us what we want.
Well, we still need after hours first.
We still need after, which has also been rumored for Criterion for at least a couple of years now.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. He's just a busy guy, Marty. He's pretty busy.
I know. Maybe they're kind of waiting on him to do maybe an interview for it, or to look at the transfer, or supervise something.
I also know Criterion always has like a 5-year backlog, so it's gonna show up at some point.
Oh, okay, that does make sense. So, Infernal Affairs, Infernal Affairs 2, Infernal Affairs 3. Steven, I know you've seen the first film. Ian, have you seen?
I haven't seen any of these. I was a bit too young for it when it first came out, so.
Right on.
And it's just, I have to be honest. The Departed's a good film. It's probably my least favorite Scorsese film since The Color of Money. It's not one I go back to very often, although it was the first one I ever saw
Hmm.
in cinema, actually, illegally, because it was an 18 and I was 15.
Uh
Nice. Breaking the law.
I'm just tall, so they didn't really care. Um, but it's probably when I'll just buy like the UK Blu-ray at some point. I'm not like rushing out to see it.
It's very, very good,
I'm
but if you've
I'm,
seen The
I'm sure it's
Departed,
very good. I just haven't got
yeah.
around to it.
If you've seen The Departed, you've seen the story. I mean, it's not exactly an original story in the sense that we haven't seen this before, but for those of you not familiar, this film stars Andy Lau and Tony Leung once again, and basically Andy Lau is the Matt Damon character from The Departed, and Tony Leung is the Leonardo DiCaprio character from The Departed, and they're both moles. One is for inside of this, organized crime. The other one is inside the police force, and they're trying not to be caught essentially, and trying to like take down. Well, you know, the Tony Leung character's trying to take down the mob boss, and then the other guy's just kind of just trying to like be a spy on the inside for the mob boss, and that is the plot of the movie. But it's incredibly well acted, great themes, well directed. It's really really great. But what I found more interesting about this release is that actually its sequels being included. I think are very important because I was talking about this with Steven before the show started. Is this is kind of a streamed down, very slim version of the story that I just said, and the movie's only in like an hour and 40 minutes long, so it's much shorter than The Departed was. and what The Departed has in comparison's sake is you get more weight to that story, you get more character stuff, and all of that character stuff that you're missing, I would say, in Infernal Affairs, you get in Infernal Affairs 2. Infernal Affairs 2 is actually a prequel to the first film. So you get the Tony Leung and Andy Lau characters when they were younger, when they were just starting out on their journey, infiltrating these, these places. So you get all of the also side characters that you saw in Infernal Affairs. You get to see more of them as well, what they were all about. So in a way, these two films together create this one long like epic story of like, traversing these people's lives, however it goes. And it's really paints this really big tapestry of, this world and these characters. I thought it was really fascinating because a lot of prequels, to be honest, don't really do that. A lot of the prequels are don't really function in that manner. Most of them are maybe cash grabs, but they don't really inform on the story or give us anything more than we already didn't know. Whereas Infernal Affairs 2 gave us a lot of stuff we didn't know and fleshed out those characters that we already had gone on a journey with. And Infernal Affairs 3, we actually kind of see the aftermath of what happened in Infernal Affairs. We see Andy Lau's character and how he's dealing with the events at the end of Infernal Affairs, which I guess if you've seen The Departed, kind of spoilerish, but whatever. And then you also kind of get a flashback to the Tony Leung character right before the events of Infernal Affairs. So you're getting parallel storylines. It may be a little bit difficult to kind of keep up with it, but they put these big titles on the screen all the time to tell you where you are and whose perspective you're going with. So that's kind of nice. But this whole trilogy is really solid, really creates this great epic story and great tapestry of these characters and these situations, and it gets really, really good. It was a good 6-hour tour that I went on. So I would definitely recommend this to people. And like Steven said, this was, spoiled for us a little bit earlier. We knew this was coming. We didn't know when, though. But I'm not quite sure what the special features are looking like for these. Steven, you got any info on that or no?
It looks like very limited for at least the 3 movie set, but it looks like 4K restoration on all the films, audio commentary on the first 2. There's an alternate ending of the Infernal Affairs, and then there's new interview with Lau and Mac. There's a few things here. It's not super stacked, but it's not all listed out. You got some behind the scenes footage, deleted scenes, outtakes.
Yeah, and I know Infernal Affairs actually had a Blu-ray release here in the U.S. back in 2011, and I heard it didn't look very good, so that's kind of why I never bought it. And Infernal Affairs 2 and 3 have never been released here at all on Blu-ray, and in the UK they've all been released individually, and they've been released in a 3-pack together.
Yeah, from
as well.
Todd, and so I'm curious if Criterion's going to re-release it here as well. Could we get the latest because you get the first announcement, and then the UK one comes like in about a couple weeks.
Yeah, and I know that the UK Criterion releases are a little different in the sense like they don't have access to all the titles they have here. Isn't that the case?
More or less, yeah. And there's normally like two new ones, and then like an older release that they haven't released over here yet. So,
gotcha. So yeah, that is it for Criterion, and I guess
we haven't done Malcolm X really.
Oh, that's true.
This is the biggie. That is definitely the biggie.
That is one of the bigger ones. So Malcolm X, I don't know when everyone was first introduced to this, but they showed this movie to us in school when I was in high school, when we were covering. I don't even know what
Black History Month or something.
It was either that or maybe it was in a world religions course where we were covering Islam, and they were like, "Let's learn about Malcolm X." I don't really know what they were thinking with that, but obviously it does track. But yeah, this is of course starring Denzel. This came out in 1992. This is one of Spike Lee's best films ever.
It's his best movie. I think it's hands down his best movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue you or anyone else who said that. This is, of course, a biopic with Denzel as Malcolm X, the iconic civil rights figure in the 1960s, and this kind of traverses really his whole life. For those of you who've seen the movie, and it's in depth, and it's a powerful performance by Denzel.
His best,
one of
his best performance. I mean, it is.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that.
I mean, it's one of those performances that if you fucked it up, you would be killed. It's just like, and everyone.
It's a very anytime you're playing an iconic person like that, the spotlight's on you.
Well, he had also played him on stage 10 years earlier.
Oh, okay then.
And he was on board back when Norman Jewison was the director, because Norman Jewison was the first director on it, and then Spike. It was always Spike's passion project, him and Ernest Dickerson, and they kind of kicked up a fuss and was like, we need to have a black director to make this film, which I think is valid in this case. Not all cases, but Malcolm X, yes. And so Norman very graciously stepped away, and Spike ended up directing it.
And then he was able to deliver. Yeah, I would say probably a much different film than Norman Jewison would have.
I think Norman would have made a pretty good film.
He would have made a good film, but this is like an all-time, like one of the best films of the decade type of.
Oh yeah, I mean, I would put it
best films of the last 30 years.
I would put it in my top 10 of the 90s, no question.
Yeah, so there are several special features. This is getting a new 4K digital restoration, supervised by cinematographer Ernest Dickerson.
Last film he shot as well.
Oh wow! And then did he switch to
director? Yeah, and if you're gonna end on the film as a cinematographer, Malcolm X is the one to end on.
Yeah, might as well go out with a bang. But there is several special features, and this was already released on Blu-ray here several times over. I have the digibook version that came out in 2012, which I think is now out of print actually. But you can still find it on regular Blu-ray here, but this will probably be the release you want, whether you get the 4K UHD or whether you get the Blu-ray. You are getting a couple of new interviews with actor Delroy Lindo and composer Terrence Blanchard, new conversation with Spike Lee, and there's a program here about the making of the film.
Yeah, that's from the
pretty
old
much
disc.
everyone involved. I think that's the one that's from that Warner Brothers disc, which is
pretty good making of actually.
It's also extensive. It's 92 minutes long.
No.
That's the Malcolm X documentary.
Which was written by one of the screenwriters with Spike. The other screenwriter on the Malcolm X film is not credited, but I think most people have heard of him. His name was James Baldwin.
Oh, yes.
But his family asked his name to be taken off.
Oh, okay. But yeah, James Baldwin, a very famous activist and author, and
friend of Malcolm's.
There's been several documentaries. Yeah, he was very much. Yeah, he was alive during that time. his work is monumental. I've just recently gotten to it over the last few years because of the James Baldwin documentary that came out recently. So that's fascinating. But yeah, there is a 1972 documentary that runs 92 minutes long. I don't know if that's on here, but there's a program about the making of the film. Oh, actually, that is on here. 1972 feature-length documentary.
That's the one written by
program about the making of the film, which I think is maybe 30 minutes long. But yeah, so this is probably the release, the current definitive release.
And also,
Stephen, have you seen this
It
movie?
needed a bit of a cleanup too.
Oh, probably did.
I watched it the other night.
The other disc is 10 years old. Stephen, have you seen this?
Yeah. I have an old DVD, so this will be right up my alley
I remember that.
to upgrade it. But yeah, it's it's a very when you're talking about biopics, this is kind of one of the essential ones that not only for subject matter but for just the quality overall, performance and story structure and I'd have to agree. I would say it's probably Spike Lee's best overall, and it's the movie probably the movie Denzel should have won his Oscar for, not Training Day or not The Hurricane. He got nominated for or did he win for The Hurricane?
No, he won for Training Day and he won for
Glory.
Glory.
Yeah, he won his supporting actor award for Glory, but he was good in The Hurricane too. But this was the movie he probably should have won for, and then the apology was Training Day.
Training Day is actually a really good film, to be honest.
No, it's
Training
good.
Day
I
is
like the
actually very
movie,
good.
but I mean, if you're talking about the movie he should have probably already won his Oscar for, this was probably it.
What is fascinating
Well, it was
to me
Al
is it wasn't
Pacino
even
for
nominated.
Scent of a Woman.
and
Yes, that's who
against
won.
the Malcolm
That-
X. It's
It's
not close.
Yeah, but what is interesting is Malcolm X wasn't even nominated for Best Picture that year.
Yeah.
So it was Best Actor in a Leading Role was Al Pacino for Scent of a Woman, which won. Clint Eastwood for Unforgiven, Denzel for Malcolm X, Robert Downey Jr. for Chaplin, and then Stephen Ree for The Crying Game. That's who the nominations
Denzel
were.
or Clint. I mean, easy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they gave Pacino that for,
I think that
career.
may have been one of
a
those
given, yeah.
the makeup ones because they didn't give him anything for his other incredible work in like The Godfather, Dog Day Afternoon, et cetera, et cetera. So it's maybe it was one of those because the Oscars are always good for
It's
those
it's
calls,
political,
I guess.
yeah.
I mean, some can say and make the argument that they did the same thing we were just talking about, The Departed. That's the only movie Scorsese has won a Best Directing Oscar for, and the only one of his movies has won Best Picture, where it probably should have been Goodfellas. Or
And about
something
3 or
else,
4
Or
other
Taxi
movies.
Driver.
Yeah.
Yeah, or Taxi Driver. But Best Picture that year was Unforgiven, A Few Good Men, Howard's End, The Crying Game, and Scent of a Woman. That was back in the
Unforgiven's
day,
best
obviously,
of
when they only
those.
did 5.
Yeah, and it won, so it's good.
Yeah, Unforgiven did end up winning.
Scent of a Woman got way too much credit.
I've actually really
It's
loved that
okay.
movie. Don't ask me why. I think it's because I've watched it so many times.
It's been.
and I just-
I have a
I just
hard
think
time.
Al Pacino's just going off.
I
in
have
that
a hard
movie.
time with Chris O'Donnell in the movie. Like, he annoys me.
Oh, does he annoy you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why he annoys me so much. I guess maybe because his Robin was so terrible.
Maybe that could be it. That could be
I don't
it.
know.
Of all of the films here, yeah, I don't know if Malcolm X. Yeah, Malcolm X should have been in there somewhere.
Yeah, well, we know the Oscars. We don't have to.
Yeah,
Also,
anywho.
hashtag
So that's
Oscars
that's
so
Malcolm
white.
X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
Very
was
true.
in this case. More than many
Yeah.
years.
But yeah, so that does wrap up the Criterion Collection. I almost missed out on the biggest release. And what do you think of that cover art? It looks. I thought they could have maybe done a little more with it, but that's fine.
Well, and I would have just went with the poster, the X poster.
Yeah.
But it's a bit like the Kane covers, so
Mm,
I get
that is that is
I
true.
get why they chose not to do it, but it's fine. It's not the worst cover on the planet.
No, not. But moving on from there, now we can transition over to our final slate, Stephen. And that
Indicator.
is Indicator.
Yes.
Indicator is back on, and they've got a list of 3 releases. Stephen, what are they?
Well, we're going to start out with a western. We have The Big Gun Down, starring Lee Van Cleef. We have a classic film starring Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray, Remember the Night. And then we have a couple of films. These are ones I've heard people saying they've wanted. So I can't speak to their quality. I'm not hearing great things, but but these are a couple luchador films. El Santo. You have El Santo, The First Adventures of the Silver Masked Man, with two films in there. One being El Santo versus Santo versus the Evil Brain, and then Santo versus Infernal Man.
Amazing titles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I had very vague. I guess we'll just get into Santo first. Might as well, because I had very vague remembrance of what this is. So Santo, these films, these are the first two films in this entire Santo saga, if you will, which go on for years and years and years. And I have some of the most ridiculous titles you'll ever see, and it's.
I mean, they're like the superhero genre for Mexican
kind
cinema.
Of in a way, like Santo's kind of like this based on like this folk hero, and he kind of fights evil, and he's in all kinds of films where it's like Santo versus the zombies, Santo versus Santo in the Hotel of Death, Santo versus the Diabolical Brain, Santo in the Wax Museum.
God, I want to see all these.
Yeah, and it's like and there's like I think there's like 50 something of these movies, at least starring this specific actor who played Santo, and yeah, and he did films I think from 1961 all the way up until 1982 with The Fist of Death, and the actor is I don't remember what his name is. He's actually just credited as Santo on IMDb, so we're just gonna go with that. But yeah, so I did get to see Santo versus the Evil Brain because it is actually available on YouTube. Someone did upload it. They also uploaded the second film, but without English subtitles, and I'm not fluent in Spanish, so I couldn't watch it. But it's these films are very campy, very low budget, very exactly what you assume they're going to be. And they're Spanish language. They were made. I think some of the early films were made in Cuba and then also Mexico as well. And of course, a lot of political strife going on in the 60s in Cuba, so I think they had to move to Mexico or vice versa. But yeah, so Santo, these films are just a whole lot of fun. These are the types of movies that you sit and watch with a bunch of friends and you just kind of have a good time watching them with. They're not to be taken seriously. They're campy. It's very simple movies. And yeah, it basically this film's about this. The first film is about this doctor who is, I think, trying to like create this serum or create this formula thing where he's trying to turn people into zombies, and he ends up like brainwashing Santo to work for him, and then Santo has to break through that brainwashing and stop his evil plans. Very similar like that. Sounds a lot like a plot of like Adam West's Batman.
I was gonna say it feels like a Saturday morning cartoons type of.
Well, the thing
it's just missing the sound effects. Like
it was making me remember. Don't know if you guys will remember this. Do you remember the Fox Kids show Lost Luchadors from like 2000?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was just like this giving me flashbacks of that, which is a show I really liked actually when I was 10.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very simple plots, and sounds like it'd be easy watch.
Yeah, they're not very long.
Yeah.
I think Santo vs. the Evil Brain is like an hour and 10 minutes. I think the other film is about an hour and 15. I'm just rather curious about what we have for special features here. But it seems like both films are getting brand new 4K restorations. There's a whole feature-length documentary. Just exploring like Mexican cinema, I think. There's restoration comparisons here. There's image galleries. Yeah, there's an 80-page booklet, of course. These are getting those super deluxe collector's
Yeah,
edition.
all three of these releases are getting all hard, rigid box limited editions. So
and this is both a UK and US release as well.
and we should
so you can get it.
Yeah, and we should mention these are December releases. All of the releases that have already kind of been announced are all shifting up 1 month because they've had some production issues and some issues with getting some of the features completed, and so they're pushing. Like this month, we were supposed to get the Hammer movies with the Hammer Robin Hood films. Yeah, and a couple other releases, and that's all getting shifted to September, and then of course, like the Swimmer is going to October with its release late, and then
I think the Swimmer is still September.
No, everything got shifted up a month, I believe.
No, that was August. These were all August.
Well, we're in August now, and that's when the Robin Hood movies were supposed to come out.
And the Swimmer. Is the Swimmer?
Is that part of the same?
Yeah. It's Madigan, Sherwood,
okay,
Robin Hood, and Swimmer. I've got screeners of all of them already.
That's all in the same slate. I thought they were separate slates, but everything basically gets pushed up a month. And so these are going to be your last slate of the year for Indicator. We're still hoping we will be having John and Sam from Indicator on next, either in the next week or the week after, to have them on. We're going to kind of talk about their releases of the year and get them, get a good overall talk about the new stuff. And I'm still working that out. So, but yeah, I mean, it's. I guess the question that we can ask them when we see them next is, does this mean more Santo's going to come? Because this does say the first adventures. So are we going to get, more adventures? Are we just getting these two because this is all they could get?
Yeah, I have no idea what the rights issues look like when it comes to all of these Santo films.
I would assume they're probably fairly easy to sort out.
Yeah, what is interesting is that when I was looking up, doing research about this, there was an article back in like 2020 where Kino was looking to release both of these movies here in the U.S., and I don't think they ever did. Like, there was a whole, that they were restoring them, and I don't think it ever came to fruition here. So these aren't available here. They're probably available on DVD, but they're not available on Blu-ray. And I just find that rather interesting that we kind of got no real payoff from there. There have been other Santo films I think I've gotten Blu-ray releases, but actually, I think the only one really here, Santo and the Treasure of Dracula, got a Blu-ray release here. Yeah, it says Santo El Mascarado de Piata, which I think is 8 English language films. Yeah, there's like an 8-film box set here from VCI that they put out that has a lot of the movies from 63 to 74. And that has like Santo vs. Frankenstein's daughter and Santo and Blue Demon vs. Dracula and the Wolfman. They're always bringing these characters back to fight somebody. So this is just a fascinating franchise of movies that I didn't know really existed until right this moment. And I'm not sure how many of them there are, but it went on for a few decades at least. So that's Enter Santo. The Big Gun Down is a spaghetti western, and I know, Steven, you got to see it. I got to see it.
Yeah, it's great. I loved it. Yeah, I haven't. To be honest with you, I haven't seen a lot of Lee Van Cleef starring roles, like where he's like the lead, the good guy, I guess you could say. I've seen a lot of his films where he's always kind of the bad guy. But this one, I think he's supposed to be playing an American. I think, or it doesn't really work, but
it's dubbed.
Yeah. But it's it's good. Yeah, he's kind of like hired to kind of track down this man who apparently raped a girl and
raped and killed someone, and he's trying to track him down basically throughout the West, and
he has to go in. Eventually, has to go into Mexico, so he
to get him, and things take twists and turns. Apparently, this is one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite spaghetti westerns. Not a big surprise. This does have a score done by Ennio Morricone.
Well, of course
and
it
when
does.
you get to that third act, it kicks in like crazy. I'm like, if you close your eyes, you're like, is this Morricone? Yeah, it is. Like it feels like it feels like it. I enjoyed the Big Gun Down as well. Lee Van Cleef, like you said, Steven, really doesn't have a lot of starring roles specifically at at this point in his career. I believe he was already in his 40s at this point.
Yeah.
He had been around forever.
And he had been around for a long time.
Yeah, and I believe the cut that I watched was the U.S. cut.
Yeah, there's actually 3 cuts on this.
There's
disc.
an extended cut, U.S. cut, and then there's the Italian 110-minute cut, which I believe is the longest cut. And then this is coming with an 80-page booklet. Indicator does a great job with their overall package. So you're getting a lot of good stuff here. Restored in 2K. Just a very good amount of features here. It's also got a limited edition exclusive poster. Probably you have to order direct to get that.
Probably reversible.
Yeah. But yeah. You familiar with this, Ian?
And this is
I haven't
a
seen
UK
it,
release.
but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Does
cool.
Alex Cox appear on the disc?
Ooh,
Oh man, he does like to show up in
myself.
features a lot.
Especially
now
on
I gotta look.
those spaghetti westerns.
Yeah, I'm not seeing him here. He tends to show up on a lot of Kino stuff, a lot of Kino releases.
Speaking of which, I want to get his film Walker during the sale.
That's one of the ones I sent to my grandma.
Nice. Yeah, because a lot of his stuff just doesn't have releases, and he keeps doing a lot of special features now. But it doesn't look like Alex Cox is on this disc.
No,
Must
I'm
be
not
one
seeing-
he's
But
not
you get
huge
an audio
on then.
commentary. 2 audio commentaries, actually. Damn. Yeah, and there's,
Steven Thrower's
Thrower
got
on
some
the
stuff on here.
on the Big Gun Down.
Yeah, cool.
So that's the Big Gun Down, a little spaghetti western action, and then we go completely different, and let's go to a film in the classic era of Hollywood. And this is a film from 1940, directed by Mitchell Leisen. I never pronounce it correctly. Starring, like Steven said, Barbara Stanwyck and Fred MacMurray. Right around the same time, we started off with film noir. They were in double indemnity together.
There you go.
And it was around the same time, maybe the same.
No,
No,
this
I
is
think
this
Double
is, this is
Indemnity
4 years
41?
earlier.
Oh, okay. I was way off.
1940.
This is 1940.
Double Indemnity is
And this
44.
is, this is a classic film of that era, and this is a romance film, written by Preston Sturges, which makes a lot of sense when you're watching it because the screenplay is very good. Preston Sturges wrote a lot early on in his career, and then went on to do some directing as well. He's one of my favorites. The Palm Beach Story,
Sullivan's Travels.
Unfaithfully Yours.
Yeah. The Great McGinty, which I think I just bought during the Kino sale. I just love his work. So this film is about Fred MacMurray's character is a lawyer, and he's prosecuting Barbara Stanwyck's character. She's on trial for, I think, shoplifting.
Yeah.
She stole some jewelry.
Yeah. I watched it.
And it takes place like around Christmas time, and she's going to be. They have to postpone the trial to like after the holidays or whatever, and she's going to be in prison that whole time. And then Fred MacMurray's character is just like, you know what, I think he bails her out.
Yeah, it's something like that.
So that she's not in prison during Christmas, which I guess is chivalrous of him. I don't know why a prosecuting lawyer would do that, but we'll just go with it.
Well, she's a pretty lady. Yes.
Well, yeah, it's also Barbara Stanwyck as well. I guess that's the case.
He's
but
such a creep in it.
he starts out as a slimeball prosecutor, where he's just like he knows he's going to convict her very easily because her lawyer is the most eccentric lawyer you'll ever see. He makes Saul Goodman look like someone who's sedated.
Oh, yeah.
It really does. And it's just like, and the guy's just going over the top. How she's like, she was hypnotized, and that's why she stole.
That's
she didn't
the
realize
best
it,
stuff
and she
in
went
it.
to return
Is the
it.
lawyer is
It's a
just
great scene.
insane. It's just like, what the hell?
It's the most performative stuff you'll see in a courtroom ever, but anywho, he decides to bail her out, and then he's kind of like, all right, just like see you in the trial. But she decides that she doesn't have any place to go, so she's like, "Oh, where are you going for the holidays?" And turns out, he's going home to his family, and they live like sometime, a few
Like
states away or whatnot.
Massachusetts
But
or something.
it's like Indiana, Ohio,
Somewhere,
Pennsylvania,
like that. Yeah.
somewhere like that. But it turns out her hometown is on the way, so he decides he's gonna drive her there, and drop her off, and then go to his hometown. And they end up, of course, having a connection, a romance, a back and forth, and the chemistry and all that kind of stuff. And they end up falling in love. That's the movie. I won't
Sure.
tell you what happens, but it's one of those types of movies. Takes place over Christmas and the New Year's, and I thought it was really good.
So it's
I really
it's
loved
coming
it a
out in
lot.
perfect time, right for the Christmas
I-
time.
Yeah,
I'm a
December.
little mixed on it. I mean, I much prefer the Preston Sturges. Is it A Christmas Story? Is that the one?
Which
He,
that he wrote or
he
that
directed.
he
Well, he wrote and directed because he was the first writer director in Hollywood.
let me look. I'm thinking the Palm Beach Story.
No. He did a Christmas
that's-
film. There's also
Oh, is it not Christmas in Connecticut?
it might be just be Christmas Story.
I'm gonna look it up.
Christmas in July. Christmas in July.
That's what it is. I get those two movies confused.
And
Christmas in Connecticut and Christmas in
and,
July.
and I mean, obviously, Fred McMurray and Barbara Stanwyck are really good. There's a really, really racist depiction of like his butler. That's
Oh,
yes,
yeah.
like
It's
he
1940.
was just like
Hollywood.
even at the
Yep.
time, it's a bit like ooh. But it's fine. I don't think it's like some great masterpiece, but both of them are good, and it's a breezy 95 minutes or whatever the hell it is.
Yeah, yeah, it is very breezy. Yeah, it was. You're right. Christmas in July is the movie, which I think also has a Blu-ray
Yeah,
release.
Kino. Kino did a lot of the lesser known Preston Sturges.
Yes, they did. I also know that this movie had a Blu-ray release here in 2014. I think by TCM actually put it out initially. Yeah, TCM had a Turner Classic has put out a couple of releases through themselves through some type of deals that they've
Well,
made.
it would be Warner Bros. Technically because it's
True. Yes, it is. You're right. What is interesting is that they did that with a couple of movies. They did it with Lady from Shanghai, Only Angels Have Wings. They did a couple of Blu-ray releases exclusively through them initially, and then they would go on to get more mainstream releases. Like Remember the Night was released through them, and then I think 4 years later or so, 4 years later, Universal Studios put it out themselves through their main line, and now it's getting a boutique label release. So they've done that a few times, and that's here in the U.S. But I rather enjoyed the movie. This is something I would definitely pick up. I just because I like Preston Sturges that much, and it is getting quite a few features. Stephen, I don't know if you've noticed that.
I notice everything. Not really. I'm just.
Oh,
I'm
good,
just
good.
kidding.
I'm glad you did.
I'm
glad you did.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, you know me. I'm gonna get all these, and I wish I'd have got a chance to watch this. Where did you guys watch it?
That's a good question.
Because I wanted to watch this and couldn't find it.
I'm
assuming some illegal place.
I don't know.
online.
I honestly don't remember.
it's around.
To be honest, yeah, it's always around.
Thanks. That really helps me.
You can find
it's
it.
it's a thing which Andrew
No. Let me look on.
told me
You know
about.
what? You don't have to
It may-
answer me now. I'm just
come on,
saying I
come
need an
on,
answer
man.
so I can watch it. Not now,
what
but
You know what's
later.
interesting is that I confused with Remember the Night with A Night to Remember. Am I the only one who got that confused?
I didn't, but the
one
internet
another?
tried to tell me that was the movie I was talking about when I put it in. When I put Remember the Night, it kept trying to show me A Night to Remember, and I was like, that's the movie I want.
I just typed in Remember the Night, and I get A Night to Remember.
exactly.
Like it just happened. Because I thought I was like, wait a minute, we already covered this. I don't have to watch it. Well, turns out I do. But I've been actually wanting to watch this for years because I've been seeing it mentioned many times. So that is Remember the Night. Stephen, there was actually one more slate that we forgot to mention
Jesus.
here. Vinegar Syndrome is having a bit of a thing going on here. But let's move on from Indicator. For
We
right
need to do
now.
this fast, and then we got to do our Nicolas Cage, and then we got to be done.
That's why. I'm trying to transition fast.
I have nothing to say on the Vinegars. Won't use that for the next episode. Just
Yeah, there's nothing really much to say other than they're having a summer festival sale thing going on, and they announced like a couple of
a
releases.
few fest titles, and then they have some of select titles are 50% off. So you should go check out that
that's
stuff.
the dealio.
Yeah.
And they've got some exclusive stuff here. I don't know if you just we didn't watch any of these.
I watched one
I
of
know
them.
Steven watched.
Yeah.
Steven watched the Unmasking the Idol, which is a VSA release.
Yeah.
There's a 4K release of one of their Picorama titles, The Young Like It Hot and Sweet Young Foxes. You don't have to really stretch the imagination on that. Pandora's Mirror, another adult film. Trashy Lady is a VS Fest. I don't know if it's an exclusive or it's just one of their announcements. And then the movie Blue Ice. And the only one of these that any of us have watched has been Unmasking the Idol, which, Steven, you said is kind of like
It's a
screwball James Bond.
Yeah, it's like a mishmash of like if James Bond was into treasure hunting and he was also a ninja, that's this movie. And then he had a monkey.
So Indiana Jones with ninjas.
Indiana Jones with
And a pet
ninjas, and he likes to have a baboon as a sidekick. That's the movie.
That's a hell of a pitch. That's a hell of a pitch.
It's a fun movie. It's a fun, like you've said for other films. Sit around, drink with your buddies, watch it. It's not entertaining, but is it great? No, but it's a fun bad movie.
It is streaming currently on Amazon Prime, but obviously the way streaming goes, it could disappear tomorrow and never be seen ever again.
Yeah.
But that's it for Vinegar Syndrome, and they're also going to be doing like partner label themed months now, where I guess like certain partner labels are going to have some of their titles will be 50% off. I know August right now I think is Utopia.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what next month is. I don't even know how long this is going to go for because they've got like 20 partner labels now.
Yeah. They could do this forever.
kind of thing.
Completely lost track at this point of which.
Yeah, I mean, for Utopia, the only film that I have that I could recommend is Shiva Baby.
Yes,
one of my
Shiva
favorite
Baby's
films
a
the
good
year
film.
came out.
Movie
Shiva Baby's great. Yeah, and I got that. It's around here somewhere. I think it's behind me. Even the polystyrene documentary I thought was also
Yeah,
really
that
good.
was really, really good actually.
But yeah, that's it for Vinegar Syndrome, and now we can transition to the important matter.
Yeah.
Nicolas
This is
Cage.
important, guys. This is what we've been waiting the whole shit to do.
This is what I live for.
But yeah, so we figured since we were talking the release of Red Rock West, I've been looking for an excuse to just talk about Nicolas Cage movies. So we're all gonna kind of present some of our favorite Nicolas Cage films, trying to keep it to 5. We might throw some honorable mentions in, but let's try to wrap this up in the next.
Should we do like one each and then just go in a circle?
Yes. Yeah, we'll go in a circle. We'll do one each. Yeah. So
and if someone's named those, we'll just say, "Oh, that was one of my."
We'll just say,
five.
"Yeah, that's on my list," and then we'll
just
we'll
cut
just
down
talk
on
about
it.
it. We'll talk about it.
That's
Yeah.
the way to do it. All right, let's do it.
Ian, you start us off. Man.
Well,
Yeah, you're
I'll
our
first
guest.
say
Be our
my
guest.
favorite film of Nicolas Cage, which I'm just going to mention in passing, is Rumblefish, because
Okay.
that's a small part. I'm not going to go. I mean, if you
Sure,
want-
sure.
Yeah, I didn't include it because he's only in
yeah,
like a
yeah.
couple
But
of
that
scenes.
is hands down my favorite film of Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that would have been my number one.
So, and then obviously Red Rock West we covered a bit, and then I would probably go Lord of War, actually, which I haven't seen in a long time, but
I actually just watched the 4K like a few weeks ago. It's great. It's a great film.
Underrated movie, I think, from him. Came out, 2007?
Roughly, yeah, in that area.
2005 even, maybe.
Oh, yeah, maybe even earlier than that.
I'm going to figure it out right now.
Yeah, 2005.
I'm good.
Yeah. That's the film isn't that the film where he's like an arms dealer?
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
yes. Andrew
Yes.
Nicole, who did Gattaca, Ethan Hawke's in it. Got
Jared Leto before he became insufferable.
he's in it.
It's
It's
like his brother.
Credits ever.
Yeah, where it's like the assembly of bullets.
You
I
are the
believe, is
bullet.
opening.
It's all in.
Yeah, it's a POV shot.
Yeah.
And that's how the movie
It's
starts.
fantastic.
Good pick. I probably should actually get my list up that I have on my phone, which I
I
can
probably
believe
should
it
get
out.
mine up as well.
Yeah, so my 5, I guess I'll just go next just to undercut Steven.
Go
as I
for it, I
usually
don't
like
care.
to do. is Bringing Out the Dead. Bringing Out the Dead, the Martin Scorsese film, written by Paul Schrader, where Nick Cage is like a late night ER ambulance driver, and you're just going with him on this existential, just dark journey. Like that whole movie's just at night, and he's just going through the stress of having that job and what it entails and just the horrors that he sees. I think one of Martin Scorsese's most underrated films came out in
I'll actually
1999.
chip in with that. So I interviewed a film with Shoemaker once when Silence came out. And one of my questions was, what do you think is one of Marty's most underrated films? And that was the one she picked.
I agree with her entirely, clearly. It's also one of his movies that doesn't have a Blu-ray release.
Yeah,
and it still baffles me to this day. I got the old
It's
used
Disney.
DVD that I've had for like a decade. This needs a release from someone. Some boutique
Disney
label's got to
owns it.
snatch this up. Who owns it?
Yeah, if Disney owns it, we're screwed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If Disney owns it, was Disney like Buena Vista?
Yeah,
Buena
Stone
Vista,
or
yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
Then we may not see this forever. We may not see this.
It might be
ever.
hostage in some underground prison somewhere.
But if someone could sort it, it would probably be Scorsese at some point, maybe.
If he could get it from.
Would you come over and direct a Marvel movie, and we'll give you?
I know. Yeah. What do you think about Marvel? But Steven, what's your
All right, so I can already tell by what you guys picking. You're picking like the legit, like these are these are my favorite, and they're also like probably his best movies.
Oh, I have some
get it.
wild ones in a bit.
Well, no, I decided that this is the way I went about mine. Is I chose what people would say the cliches, but it's because this is what I grew up watching and what made me fall in love with Nicolas Cage. So the first one I'll bring up is kind of I guess you could say the most mainstream one, and that's National Treasure, the first National Treasure movie. Growing up, I love this movie, and this is a Disney movie, and yeah, I mean his character of Benjamin Gates, apparently of course the movie's sense of history is not all accurate, but of course it's supposed to be fun, and I just always loved him in this role as a guy who has been he's a treasure hunter, but he's not
successful.
Yeah, he's like Indiana Jones, but he's
like a shit Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he's like an Indiana Jones that like is Mr. Magoo. He like just fucking hurt. He's not really an action guy, but he somehow makes his way through it blindly. But he's a super smart guy, and he. I just always loved the dynamic between all the characters in there. Second one, not as great, but still fun.
I honestly don't even remember.
Book of Secrets.
I've never seen
watched
the
it
second one.
once.
I did enjoy the first one.
The first.
I watched the first one incessantly.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, the whole hook of it, stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Because there's a treasure map on the back.
Yeah, and there's
of
a
it.
treasure map, and then it goes further, and then of course, Sean Bean's the villain. I mean,
Of course.
That's classic right there. Just having Sean Bean as your
Sean
villain.
Bean's the villain.
And one of the few,
Harvey
times he
Keitel is in the
didn't
movie?
die.
Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah, sorry guys.
For a 20-year-old
Yeah.
movie.
But
I watched that. That was one of the first DVDs I ever bought. It's something I watched incessantly. My degree is in history, and I've studied like American history, specifically like the era of like the founding for like. That was like kind of my main thing for like my whole educational career. So like that movie as a kid was like the inspiration for that. So in a way, Nicolas Cage inspired my educational life in a way. So that's interesting. And but I agree with you, Steve.
Yeah, and
there's
and it'll I'll come back. I was going to say something that would give away one of my other picks, but I'll say it later. But yeah,
also it was an era of Disney that was putting out like really fun live action films. Like that was the same type of time of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was coming out. Before things kind of got to the way they are now, where the movies feel so. What's the term?
Factory made.
I'm
Factory
actually a
made,
bit of a defender of some of the remakes. I'm a big fan of the Tim Burton Dumbo.
Oh yeah, I was thinking
and
more
Pete's
of like
Dragon.
Jungle
I
Cruise.
think it's really good.
Pete's Dragon's not
like-
terrible. I don't mind.
And I would like
I don't
Cruella,
mind those,
actually. I
actually.
think Cruella's
Cruella was actually pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, Cruella I actually liked, but I was thinking more of like Jungle Cruise or something like
Jungle
that.
Cruise was
Like,
fine. It was fun.
It's like they're fun,
but
they
they're
don't have that
throwaway.
extra
They're
sense.
throwaway. Like
Oh, yeah.
They don't have that extra adventure.
But also,
you know?
it was as the line in the film card counter. It passed the time.
Yeah,
true.
that's not what I'm looking for anymore. I'm not looking for passing the time. I don't got so much time. I need things to fill my time that are good.
Well,
you know.
Speaking of which, Ian's going to give us another good one.
Yeah.
So what's the next one on your list?
Mandy.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
become like a recent cult classic of his.
Fuck
yeah.
yes. Oh my god.
I mean,
what can one say about that movie?
I think when my review of it said it was like dropping acid while listening to death metal or something.
Yeah,
that's about right.
It's a movie. When I remember rewatching it with my brother, and I very quickly noticed him pass out because it's just such a trippy movie. It's not a movie for everybody. It is a movie that goes into kind of a dreamlike state that is not easy for everybody to stick with if you're not in the right like mindset. But it is a metal movie. It is a real metal.
Here's my quote, which I wish they hadn't posted. It should have been on the poster. And I interviewed Panos actually when it came out. If Hodorowski mainline DMT while listening to doom metal nonstop.
That's
right.
It. I mean, the movie's got Nick Cage, like, I call them, I don't even know what they were. I call them demon Cenobites,
yes.
the things that he's fighting in that movie. And he's like fighting with like chainsaws and stuff.
The scene where
wild.
The dude where he sniffs
the Jesus freaks!
Yeah, well, where he
that too,
where he picks up the cocaine with the broken glass and sniffs it and then goes into a rage is the best. Like, God, it's the best.
People listening who haven't seen this movie think it's the most unhinged thing ever, and it really, really is.
Yeah,
it's not even the most unhinged Nicolas Cage film, but we'll get
no.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll get to that later.
But it's art house. It's surreal. It's just incredible.
It kind of kicked off his second wave, his second coming of Nicolas Cage. As Mandy kind of, I think, hit the pop culture a little bit, and that's kind of been the first.
Yeah, kind of injected more Nick Cage into us
recently. Yeah.
But I guess I'll go back to something that's not quite as, fuel injecting as this, and I'm going to go with Ridley Scott's. I think it's Ridley Scott. Yeah, Ridley Scott's Matchstick Men, 2003. I have always really, really liked this movie and thought it was great. Nick Cage plays like a con artist. Sam Rockwell's in the film, and he also has, I think he has agoraphobia or something like that.
I think it's OCD.
And so he always has.
I think it's OCD.
Yeah, it's like an OCD, but I always thought like he was. Like he didn't want to leave his house, or he had germophobia, or something, like some type of phobias, or maybe multiple phobias. And turns out he may or may not have a long lost teenage daughter, and it's kind of him and his relationship with her, portrayed by I think Alison Lohman, an actress who many people may not know, kind of underrated. She was in Drag Me to Hell, the Sam Raimi film, but she was in Big Fish. I don't know what she's
probably on some TV show today.
Yeah, she hasn't acted in anything since 2016, unfortunately. Yeah, she was in a lot of stuff early on in her career. But yeah, I was always really liked this movie. And I saw it way early on. I probably saw it on HBO or some pay cable thing after it had come out, a couple of years after it had come out. Nick Cage has this great scene in a pharmacy where he just goes ballistic. It's just incredible. Sam Rockwell, I think, is a great actor. I've always really liked this movie.
Yes, it's an excellent film. It would have been in my top 10 easy.
Yeah, I always remember that I it's one of these movies where I think I own it and then I don't, and I hate myself for not owning it, and then I forget to buy it, and then I forget and then it's a cycle where I forget
buy
I own
it. It's a good film.
It's a thing.
It's like
I know. I gotta get
it.
It's usually like the Blu-ray's like $10 here most of the time. I don't know why I don't own it, but it's great. So that's my, I guess, 4. Steven, I think you're up.
Yes,
next.
I am. Kind of going back into what I was going to allude to, films, National Treasure has kind of this heist element to it. And I think Nick Cage likes that in a lot of his, he has done a lot of films through his career where there's either a heist element of sorts, and one of them is Gone in 60 Seconds.
Nice.
which is, a remake of the, I think, 1974 film. This was another one of them ones growing up I just watched so many times. Had a crush on Angelina Jolie at the time.
I have a Need for Speed.
Yeah, yeah. And, this, it was, to be honest, at the time, I don't know if I feel this way anymore, but I liked this movie more than watching Ocean's 11. I liked this cast of characters, their chemistry, and then Nick Cage kind of leading the way as this master car thief who's trying to bail his brother out against this kind of loan shark type guy who has one of the best villain names ever. Raymond Calitri is the bad guy's name in this movie, and I just always liked that name.
What a name.
And so, yeah, they have to. The idea of the movie is that they have to steal, I think it's like 48 cars in one night.
And they're all different makes and
all
models.
different makes and models, and it's
he's got a team of people like Will Patton is in there, Scott Kahn.
Yeah.
It's a Bruckheimer film from
Angelina
that time.
Jolie.
You have a great cast.
yeah.
And
It really, I mean, like,
I was trying to do Slate into another movie, but
Yeah, no, I know what you're saying. But it's just such a fun film. Great, it's a cool car movie where you actually get to see a lot of different cars, a lot of different great chase scenes. Of course, the end of the movie you have that great, I think it's a Shelby Cobra or something like that he drives at the end to get away from the police. And then there's the classic scene that I love where they're all, before they go out on their heist, they're listening to Lowrider. They're all getting in the mood, and then he just does that classic, let's go, and they all leave, just the whole hands in the air, like, let's go. And then, so yeah, it's just another one of them films. It's one I could watch. It's on TV, or if I could pop it in at any point and never be bored of it.
That's a cable TV standard.
God, it was always on like
on 50
TBS
seconds.
all the time. Like,
TNT, TBS, whatever here.
But Ian, back to you.
Ian on the next.
Well, the one and only Con Air.
You took
Nice.
one of mine. It's
Well, I think it's probably on all of our lists. I mean, Con Air.
It's not. I almost put it at 5, and I didn't because I know someone else was gonna have
He
it.
knew I was going to talk about it, so yeah, let's talk about Con Air. Con Air is amazing. It's amazing.
It's just a
Let's go.
perfect action movie. It's
Exactly.
absolutely ridiculous. The cast is fantastic. Steve Buscemi steals the movie from that cast, which is saying something. There's that final moment with Buscemi.
Yeah.
John Cusack hated the film for years. Don't know if you guys know that.
Oh no.
He
I did not
hated
know that,
making
no.
Con Air. He hated it. I think he's came around to it finally. It's just one of the
John Malkovich, Cyrus the Damn Virus. Just such a lot of great just characters. All the Dave Chappelle's in it. He plays a character, one of the prisoners, and just the idea of this prison plane, and it's one of the most. I have a pillow of them right now with Nicolas Cage's long locks, with his face on it from Con Air, and just the many lines. Put the bunny back in the box. I mean, come on. I mean, it's and that accent, that Georgia or that Alabama accent that he's got going on in the movie,
which isn't even that good. That's the thing.
That's what's great about it.
He can't do accents at all. Oh, what about his accent? I mean, not to go back, but in Red Rock West, where isn't he supposed to be from Texas? But it takes place in Wyoming, and he goes in and out of a Texas accent.
It's
half
not.
the time.
Yeah, it's not smooth.
That's just him. But yeah, this is
Simon.
one of his
I think directed by
quintessential
Simon
action
West.
His first film as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he went on to do the first Expendables movie eventually.
He also he directed Tomb Raider.
Yeah,
but
some decent action films.
With Angelina Jolie, The Mechanic with Statham, Expendables 2 he directed because Stallone directed the first.
Yeah, he did.
Expendables.
He did the second one. Okay.
And then Stallone was like, "Yeah, I guess I don't want to direct anymore."
And the famous sort of line about Con Air, best Michael Bay film.
Not by Michael Bay. Yeah.
Yes.
Not by Michael Bay. To be honest, this is as close to you're gonna get as Nick Cage as a superhero. Like I always had this thought in my mind that this was like him amping up to be Superman in Tim Burton's Superman film that never happened.
Yeah.
Because he's got the hair, he's like super, like his body's looking good, he's looking fit.
Once again, doing push-ups at the beginning of the movie in prison.
Yeah, once again, just physically ready to be Superman.
Yeah.
And instead, and then he's in this movie. I don't know if there's any legitimacy or connection to that, but that's just my thought process. Because I feel like this came out in '97, and I know they were working on that movie intermittently there for the late '90s and whatnot. Yeah. So the Con Air is you. Stephen, what number was that on your list?
I didn't put these in order.
You didn't put it
in
in
order?
numbers?
I just these are 5 of my favorite. I can't choose. Nick Cage is like children. His movies are like children to me. Even the ones that suck, I like them.
You still love. But so I guess I'll go with my next one, which is the film that he's won his only Academy Award for, and that is Leaving Las Vegas, starring him and Elizabeth Shue, directed by Mike Figgis, a director I don't think a lot of people know of. And Nick Cage is an alcoholic in this film who's just taken a trip to Vegas to drink himself to death. That is the premise of the movie.
And it's an autobiographical story.
Yeah, and I think it was taken a bit from Mike Figgis.
No. It's based on a novel.
Him. No, the person who wrote the book.
Yeah, the novelist killed himself right after it was optioned.
Wow. I did not know that.
He
didn't know
literally drank himself to death, essentially.
Yeah, which is a very, very harsh way to go. Unfortunately, alcoholism is still a rampant disease that many people have to deal with, and still struggle with, throughout the generations, throughout our society. And it is a harsh disease to deal with. And you kind of see the effects in the film. Obviously, this is a film. It's not real life, but the degradation of the body, of the mind, all of that is Nick Cage pulled that off in extraordinary fashion. It is a heartbreaking and harsh film to watch. He strikes up a relationship with Elizabeth Shue's character, who plays a sex worker in Vegas, and they just kind of have this connection with one another. They're both kind of lost souls in this city. I've always been a big fan of Elizabeth Shue. I think she's a great actress. But yeah, this is a film where he won his Oscar for his only Oscar. It's a harsh film to watch. I'm not gonna lie to people. It's
and it also has an absolutely terrible performance by Julian Sands as her pimp.
We all can be winners, I guess.
And it has one of the great is like the first 20 minutes of it is just fantastic.
Yeah, it's a film this does have a Blu-ray release.
MGM Studio Canal in the UK.
Yeah, it's at least here. Yeah, here it was an MGM.
I have the US one.
Yeah, the US one could use an upgrade.
Something,
I think it's on
something
print,
like
because MGM
would be a good one to pick it up.
Yeah, MGM is ever in flux.
Kino or something.
Someone's got to give this a nice remastered release eventually. That MGM library, I guess, is open for the taking at this point. But yeah, that's Leaving Las Vegas, not to be confused with Honeymoon in Vegas, which he did several years earlier. Completely different movie.
And he lives in Vegas.
So, yeah, I was gonna say he spends a lot of time there.
He does live in Vegas.
Yeah. He's known for being known for being a partier in Vegas. So he does it.
Well, I think we all know that Nick Cage has had a lot of financial issues over the last.
Apparently, he's corrected that in recent years. He's apparently back on track. But I think the whole thing is that he was doing so many movies was to pay off debts and things like that. Taxes and things like that he owed. That apparently was partly because of money being used by somebody. His money was being taken by somebody else. It wasn't all his fault, but he was kind of screwed over, from what I understand. But he's also, like a lot of mega stars, they invest their money in way too many things that they really can't afford. So that's how it is.
Stephen, well, what's your next Nick Cage movie?
Oh, well, let's go to another classic. We have to, and it's one of the other ones and then they're actually talking about a sequel right now. They're writing it. Face Off, directed by John Woo. It's another one of them ones that I watched so many times growing up. I don't know why. My parents let me watch it. but you got John Travolta and Nicolas Cage in the ultimate bad guy versus good guy versus bad guy versus good guy because they're both playing each other. So who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? But John, it starts out, you have Nick Cage playing, I guess he's kind of a drug dealer, or a terrorist. He kind of does a little bit of everything. And John
Jack of all
Travolta's
trades.
Yeah, he's a jack of all. He can eat a peach for hours. But
the opening of this movie is incredible.
Yeah.
He's like impersonating a priest. You've seen the gifs out there where he's like dancing around making the faces.
Oh yeah,
and
where he's the
whatnot.
priest and he's like they're setting up the bomb.
He's like groping the nuns and
he
stuff.
goes and he touches the chorus girl's ass and
Castor Troy.
Castor
that's his
Troy,
name.
that's his name. I don't know what
Yeah.
he's got so many great names in all his movies. I forget them, but yeah, Castor Troy. And Sean Archer is John Travolta, and he's John Travolta's FBI agent that's been on his trail for many years, and of course his son was killed by Castor Troy while he was at like a fair or something, a carnival. So he's been tracking him down for years, and finally he's on his ass at the beginning of this movie, and at some point, and during the pursuit. He kills Nick Cage's character, he kills Castor Troy, but really he didn't. He's like in a coma. So then they decide, so that they can take down the rest of the crime syndicate, he's going to take Nicolas Cage's face and become Castor Troy and go undercover. And so very much a science fiction-y kind of plot too.
Oh yeah, considering that Travolta and Nicolas Cage did not have the same type of body.
But their body types are very
body
different.
size or anything
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, as long as you swap the faces, people will believe it. So then they end up playing each other, and it's John Woo. John Woo's action is
The doves are
awesome.
everywhere, slow
There's
motion.
doves. There's so many climactic sequences. There's a great boat chase. John Travolta is just is trying to play Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is playing himself as John Travolta. It is nuts.
Ian, please tell us about your
Ian, you've
feelings
seen
on
it.
Face Off.
Of course I love Face Off. Who doesn't
Of
love
course.
Face Off? And it's John Woo's best American movie.
Yeah, it's definitely better than changing lanes.
That's not John.
To be honest,
not John
I
Woo.
I thought that was
disagree with you on
John Woo changing
No,
lanes.
No, he did Paycheck.
Or Paycheck. That's what I'm thinking of. Paycheck. I'm sorry. That's what I meant.
I mean, I guess No Love for Mission Impossible 2.
Oh no.
Or Wind Talkers. Also,
Wind Talkers is okay. It's okay.
That's the one with Nick Cage.
It's not historically accurate, but it's fine.
No. Hard Target.
Yeah, Hard Targets. Hard Target's probably a runner for second best.
Broken Arrow is okay.
I'm not a big fan of Broken Arrow.
It's okay.
I know it may be sacrilege.
No, it's not a great film. It's fine.
Yeah, but Face Off is his best. And
So Face Off may in fact be his best.
yeah, and it's just one of the movies that once again there's just so much iconicness that came from it, and the golden
gifts.
guns, that Castor Troy has, and
the doves, the
doves in the church at the end of the scene,
the slow motion action.
Yeah.
I mean, he was doing slow motion action back in Hong Kong in the late 80s,
Yeah.
but way before the bullet time stuff with the Matrix. John Woo was way ahead of his time.
Oh yeah,
When it came to action with like gun fu and stuff like that, he was so far ahead of his time. And then when he came to the States, he kind of just brought his style over with him. And I guess
it didn't last as long as you'd think, but
and I guess it didn't hit as well with people. I think we can look back on it.
Well, I think he was
fondly
also quite
as we are.
restricted over here. So.
yeah.
That's also true too. Once you get to Hollywood, they put all the clamps on you. They put all the handcuffs on you to kind of diminish your style because they're trying to sell a product.
Yeah.
For the most part. But yeah, I dig Face Off. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll be interested to see what a sequel to this would be.
Yeah. It's interesting trying to revive that after what?
Well, they're
20
both
years?
bald.
Yeah. And I mean, how do you bring back Nick Cage? I mean,
I thought they were talking about doing something completely different.
I've heard
Like, I
that
don't
they're
think they
trying
were
to get Nick
gonna bring
Cage
anyone
back. That's what I've heard.
Well, that there's. I mean, we not to be going backwards, but there's a National Treasure series that's going to be dropping on Disney Plus very soon.
Yeah, that, and I've also seen
Nick Cage is not
a
in
new
it.
script is being developed to try to bring back Nicolas Cage for.
I saw that a
Yeah.
couple of days too, but they've been working on a National Treasure 3, I think, since National Treasure 2 came out. Like, that's been in the works forever, and it just never materialized
Well,
yet. I'll just put yet because you never know.
Yeah, you never know. But I think because Nick Cage's career is kind of reviving with popularity, they're rethinking doing that movie. But let's move on.
Yeah, let's move on to another one. So my next one is.
I think it's Ian. Did Ian say his?
As you know, it's Ian.
Well, I think mine might be on you guys' list as well. Was of course Raising Arizona.
Actually, I decided to keep it. It would be on a top 10, but I didn't put it on this list. Yeah.
You know, I wanted to put that or something else, and I didn't put either of them. So no.
Whoa.
But go with that, Raising Arizona.
Like I said, this isn't a top list for me. This is just movies that were my favorite growing up.
Well, it's just such a amazing performance from him, and obviously Coen Bros' second film. He is literally a human Woody Woodpecker.
Yeah.
No one else has ever tried it since or before, and it's just that hair. Holly Hunter is amazing in it. For the longest time, I did not like the whole sort of Mad Max biker thing for so long with it. Now I'm fine with that. And it's just, one of the great Coen Bros movies and one of the great Nicolas Cage performances.
Yeah, it's so different than their previous work in Blood Simple. Blood Simple is kind of a more serious neo-noir. This is like Coen Brothers' first run at their brand of comedy, which is very eccentric, very reverent,
it's the Sam Raimi film.
Well, yeah, okay.
Definitely, the sort of the work with Raimi kind of really shows in this one.
Yeah, because Raimi does have that over the top kind of eccentricities in his work. I mean, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness have it.
Yeah, I think it's the same year as Evil Dead 2, if I'm not mistaken.
That makes sense. Yeah, Raising Arizona is a movie I don't think I've seen it since I bought it on Blu-ray. I think it came out in 2011.
Yeah, something like that.
2012. It came out around the same time that they released
Miller's Cross and
the
Blood
initial
Simple.
run of Blood Simple.
Yeah, there was a box set.
And Fargo, stuff like that. Yeah, Raising Arizona came out 2011 on Blu-ray. Damn. Then they released it maybe they re-released it a couple more times, but that's another film. I think that could potentially get a Criterion release. I don't know. I've got that feeling.
Well, it's also Fox,
since they've already done the
knows?
other two. That's also true as well. But for my film, the next one I'm choosing is I couldn't leave this off of my list. My David Lynch loving heart had to include Wild at Heart, ironically so. Yeah, this is the film that David Lynch made while he was working at Twin Peaks, where he got to step away from Twin Peaks, I believe, for that second season, and he made this movie, Wild at Heart, which I believe won the Palme d'Or when it came out.
Yes, quite infamously.
Yes, and it's based on the novel Wild at Heart, the story of Sailor and Lula. This is like
and there's many sequels. There's like 4 sequels to it.
Yeah, it's a film starring Nick Cage, Laura Dern, Willem Dafoe, Diane Ladd shows up, Crispin Glover shows up, Harry Dean Stanton shows up at one point.
Piper Laurie was nominated for an Oscar, I think.
Yeah, this movie is a wild road trip of a movie. Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern are like young lovers, essentially who just run away together. He's wearing a cool snakeskin jacket. The film is very
symbol of my individuality and belief in personal freedom.
It's also like David Lynch's version or adaptation of Wizard of Oz. That's
all of his films.
That's kind of how a lot of people. That's how a lot of people talk about it. It's such a film. I just love David Lynch's work, and Wild at Heart is just a wild work from him. Willem Dafoe's character of Bobby Peru has got to be the slimiest, most revolting person you've ever seen on camera. One of them, at least. Just the way Dafoe played that character for the scenes he's in is just electric. My goodness. This is my pick. I had to include this on this list somewhere. This was almost my top one, just because of how much I like it.
All right.
So Steven, what's yours?
Okay, I'm going to surprise all of you with this one.
No,
And I'm almost
shock me.
surprising myself for putting it on here because as soon as that, because like I'm kind of like half had this prepared and half just on the fly looking through his filmography. And I'm going to say this one just because, once again, I'm sticking to my guns with why what my theme for this list is, which is not necessarily my favorite of his films or even what I consider his best movies, but films that made me fall in love with Nicolas Cage. And when I was growing up, this was a movie I watched a lot, and for some reason I got hooked on it. And of course, later I found out about the original film being so much better, and that is City of Angels. I know.
I don't want the world to see
I know.
me, Steven.
I get it. Wings of Desire is amazing. And this is the American remake starring Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan.
It's not even a remake. It's like, what is this? It's such a bizarre movie.
Yeah, but essentially it's taking the idea of, watching these angels are all around the city, watching the people, and then he zeroes in on one woman who he falls in love with, and then decides that he's going to make the ultimate sacrifice so that he can become human, and then be with her. And the movie does not artistically delve into the subject matter of what it means to be human, what it means to love and have relationships, as well as Wings of Desire does. But I think it is an overly sentimental movie, but I find some of the movie to be pretty, sincere. And I think Cage is good in the movie for what he's doing, playing kind of this, to begin, person that doesn't have they're angels. They don't have feelings. They just go around and do their work. As listening to humans and listening to and trying to, you don't really have emotion, they're just doing the work.
They're just gods, like
they're godlike
grunts,
creatures going around, and then, he meets this one person that makes him think differently. And then he makes this choice,
Yeah, you're describing Wings of Desire.
It's Wings of Desire, but it's Americanized. I know it's not great.
Yeah, but I think the film, is also well remembered for the song that the Google dolls
yeah, it's the
did for the movie.
Iris. Yeah, it's got a big soundtrack was played with this, and
yeah.
But
I think that song has kind of outlived this movie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I think that song has become more popular than the movie.
And I'd give up forever to touch you.
Don't get me going.
I can do it, man.
I listen to that song every day.
But and like I said, I recognize not a fantastic movie, but it is a movie that I watched a lot and made me love Nicolas Cage. And even though if the movie itself isn't great, just movies about the afterlife are always movies that fascinate me. I even think about another movie that came out in that time period with Robin Williams.
What
the
Dreams
one
May Come was a much better film.
Yeah, much better
Dreams
film,
May
much
Come.
better film, a lot darker film about the afterlife. And I was always fascinated with, I did grow up going to church a little bit, and so that stuff was on my mind a lot. And this movie about angels watching people and it was always interesting to me. But of course, I grew up, I found Wings of Desire, but I still look back on this movie fondly of sorts. Even though it's not great, we have all of us have them movies that we know are not great movies, but we look back on them fondly. So,
oh yeah, of course.
So, but that is my fourth pick. So, Ian, let's go around to your last pick before we get to. We'll do a little bit of a roll down of honorable
I've already
mentions.
done all of mine, so
okay.
I'm just going to do my honorable mentions really quickly.
Okay.
So, because I know we're running out of time and you've got a kid and stuff. So, the first one is a film called Between Worlds, which came out the same year as Mandy, which is basically like a Twin Peaks fanfic film. And it is completely insane. They've got an insane soundtrack. Like they got like the Marilyn Manson version of I Put a Spell on You. It ends with Nicolas Cage lighting a house on fire to the Shangri-La's Leader of the Pack. Which I was just like, film is amazing. It's also completely terrible at the same time. It's got a opening theme by Angelo Badalamenti.
Oh wow!
But he did not do the score. for some because he obviously did not want to make this film, but somehow
What a missed opportunity there.
and it has a scene where Nicolas Cage is having sex while reading from the memoirs of Nicolas Cage.
Wow.
Brilliant.
I see.
That's
I
so
own
meta.
the movie and I
That's
need to
so
watch
meta.
it right
It
now.
is completely insane.
It's so meta.
It is just like, and obviously he's very. And the thing with like all of these like VOD films he did, he's obviously very committed to them, and he's very sincere, even when they're complete shite.
Yeah. Well, that's why we're talking about him right now and doing lists.
That's why they're to be honest. That's why some of them are worth watching because he's giving it 100%.
Yeah,
like he doesn't take any
I got
scenes
one
off.
too. If you don't already say it, I have one too that's considered one of the movies that I still really like. So, what's some of your other ones?
Drive Angry,
Yeah, with Amber Heard.
her only good film.
Oh, okay.
Which is kind of like a redo of what's the film with Peter Fonda, Ride of the Devil.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sort of CGI update of that, and that's a really fun movie for people who haven't seen it. His one and only film he directed called Sunny, where James Franco plays a gigolo in New Orleans, and it's got an absolutely wild performance by Nicolas Cage as a drug dealer, and it ends with the Wall of Voodoo version of Ring of Fire, which is obviously a song of a cover that Nicolas Cage has loved forever and always wanted to put in a film. So he just was like, I'm going to end it with this very crazy version of Ring of Fire. Looking Glass, the Tim Hunter film.
I think I've watched this. I have this, yeah.
Which is not bad. So. He's kind of like a voyeur in a hotel.
Yeah.
And it's not bad for like a direct-to-video movie at all. And then finally, a film called Deadfall, which is directed by Christopher Coppola. It has the most unhinged Nicolas Cage performance of all time. The fucking hangers, man. Are you trying to fucking kill me? Am I a fucking retard?
God.
It is. He's obviously trying to be Tony Clifton.
Yeah.
I think you've seen the picture of him with like his thumbs up, and he's like,
yeah.
It's from this film. It's completely terrible, and he exits. Let's just say he exits the film quite early. Then you're stuck with the rest of the film. But his 40 minutes are insane, and totally worth watching.
All right.
Just for those 40 minutes. But then
I'm going to own all his movies eventually, so I'll get to it.
I'm sure it's in Dollar Tree. It is definitely.
It's got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be someplace.
It is.
But that's great, yeah.
And there's obviously on YouTube. You can just see the Nicolas Cage scenes.
Yeah.
Which is all you kind of need.
All right. Well, Andrew, what is your last pick?
Yeah, my last pick is Moonstruck, the film from 1987, directed by Norman Jewison, who we brought up earlier. This is the film obviously starring Cher, which she won an Oscar for. This is a film that also stars Dana Aiello, Olympia Dukakis. It's a movie where it pretty much centered around the Cher character, Loretta Castorini, who is she's engaged to the Danny Aiello's character, and Danny Aiello's character has to go like home to Italy to take care of his sick mother or something. And Nicolas Cage is like his estranged brother who they want to invite to the wedding, but obviously he's estranged. He works in like the basement of a bakery, just down there in the hot ovens, and he's got a wooden hand because he lost a hand, and he ends up having a romance with Cher's character of Loretta. They have this one kind of wild night together, and they end up kind of falling madly in love with one another because this one night is this, everyone gets moonstruck. It's this full moon, and everyone kind of loses their wits a little bit. This is a great film. I've seen it several times. I know people who watch this movie every single month when there's a full moon. I mean, this movie is rather iconic. Just got a Criterion release recently on Blu-ray. And yeah, Nick Cage has some great scenes in this movie. especially when he's talking about like losing his wooden hand. I'll never forget this. This will be burned into my brain forever. In the GQ magazine interview they did with him about his career, he referenced that he got inspiration from the movie. What was it? Fritz Lang's Metropolis, and that's how he thought to play that scene where he's describing like his wooden hand and why it torments him. And I just thought, like, wow, I didn't think we would be bringing up Metropolis in.
Oh,
in a
he
Nick Cage
loves
defense
his silent
ever.
movies, Nicolas Cage.
But he must be. He's a gigantic fan. I think he's a cinephile.
Oh yeah. The
he's bringing
interview
up
he did
Metropolis.
recently, he was just like listing the films he's watched recently. He's like, just me and my movies. That's all I do. Is just me and my movies.
Just makes me love him more.
I'll try to
Moonstruck
find
is
that and send
great.
it to you. It's funny.
Oh, please do. But yeah, this is a film that yet again earlier on in his career. This came out in '87, and this was in between Raising Arizona and I think Vampire's Kiss, like sandwiched in between those two movies. Is this movie here?
Well, he nearly did Miracle Mile around that time.
No, wow, I did not know he was up for Miracle Mile.
He wanted to, as I know the director of that, he wanted to do it as if it was the character from Peggy Sue Got Married. So the director was like, I love you, Nick, but no.
Like, all right. Yeah, I guess after seeing him in Peggy Sue Got Married. But Steven, should I just do my honorable mentions now?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. So we've got, so this obviously there's a bunch of stuff that's been mentioned already. I would mention his more recent work, specifically Pig, that film that came out last year. Just an amazing acting performance by him. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, where he's playing a fictionalized version of himself, and the movie's just an absolute love letter to Nick Cage and his movies. It's basically a movie that Nick Cage fan would make if Nick Cage fans, had the money to make a movie. It's so many references to his work in there. It's great. Color Out of Space, I actually really liked. Yet again, kind of a trippy movie. I think it's based on a
Lovecraft.
What's that terrible person? Yeah, terrible person that people love, H.P. Lovecraft. It's based on his.
I love his work. I don't like him. He was a racist piece of shit.
I mean, ironically, where he's buried, the cemetery where he's buried is like 5 minutes from my house. And yeah, he talk about a piece of garbage person. Yeah.
Well, also directed by a piece of garbage person, but let's continue.
Yeah, let's go on. People really like the movie Mom and Dad, and I thought it was bizarrely crazy of a film. Did anyone else like that movie?
Yeah, I saw it in
at
the
all, or
cinema.
was it just me? Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
I love.
I didn't get as much out of it as I thought I was going to get, but yeah.
Where like just parents just kind of go crazy and just want to, essentially get rid of their kids. I mean, maybe it's a rather existential film for a lot of people, but that's one. Joe, which I think is criminally underrated.
Yeah, Joe would have been my top 10.
Yeah, David Gordon Green film. David Gordon Green kind of getting back to his indie roots in a very sincere way with Joe.
Yeah, Nicolas Cage likes to say this is the closest to him in real life.
Yeah, movie starring him, Ty Sheridan. It's a film that came out I think 2013.
Yeah, it's an excellent
Very
film.
underrated. I have that Blu-ray and I coveted. I kind of like a couple of his 2000s work. They're not great. Knowing next.
Knowing's underrated, I think.
Yeah.
You know who was the original director for that?
No.
And it makes complete sense. Richard Kelly.
Oh, that actually makes up. That would have been.
But your favorite person ended up directing it.
Alex Proyas directed it.
He made one of my favorite movies. He's just an asshole.
Yeah, I mean, The Crow.
No.
Dark City.
You like
Dark
Dark
City.
City. Yeah. I would say The Crow is probably what he's most well known for. But
Dark City is
very good.
I mean, wow.
Dark City, damn good. I think The Weatherman is actually also underrated. Adaptation, which none of us remember.
Well, I was gonna say it at the end, but never mind.
Oh, never mind. I guess I'm taking all the good ones. So I'll let
you're
Steven
literally
take
going
the
down the
rest.
IMDb thing and saying your favorite
Steven,
things.
don't give away my secrets.
That's not how you do your honorable mentions. You're just saying everything. You got to leave something for me.
You can't give me an entire database and expect me
And,
not
I
to.
didn't give you
the-
anything.
the
You
one
got to
thing-
have self-control.
I'll say one thing about Pig. As someone from Portland, Oregon, the most Portland part of that film was when him and Nat Wolff were like just hanging out and just going, and Nicolas Cage goes, "Fuck Seattle."
But Steven, go. Yeah, you take the
Well,
rest.
you know what? Since you already brought up adaptation, it is great. That's one of it's. If there was an artsy pick on my list, that was going to be it. But I'll go the artsiest I can go with Nicolas Cage, and that's The Rock, because we hadn't brought it up. Might as well bring up The Rock, which is
Nothing says artsy like.
yeah.
like-
Well, it's also, we know now that it's just another James Bond movie. It's Sean Connery's playing James Bond, and he's been in U.S. prison for many years, and now they got to bring him out to help stop this, terrorist attack on
Alcatraz.
Yeah. So you have Ed
Well,
Harris.
my dad
who's
worked for many years in the 80s.
oh, really?
Oh,
That's cool.
didn't know
That's
that.
cool.
That's really cool.
And so Ed Harris plays like this kind of, benign, blind military officer who feels like America hasn't paid him their dues for like all the fallen soldiers has been under his command and stuff. So him and some group of soldiers are stealing some like top secret green balls that can kill you. I don't know. I can't remember what they're
I
called.
think they're like
it's like
big time weapons.
it's like they're like
chemical weapons.
chemical
or something.
weapons that can be shot into a place and kill
It
everybody.
doesn't matter though.
It really doesn't matter.
It
but they
really
look
doesn't.
cool. They're like in a
Yeah.
pearl necklace form. And so, Nicolas Cage plays like and I think he's an FBI agent.
Who's
but he's
obsessed with the Beatles.
What's that? I'm sorry.
He's completely obsessed with the Beatles.
Oh yes, yeah. At the beginning, he gets a record from the Beatles, and he's like all about like playing it on records. It's the best way to hear it. He plays Stanley Goodspeed, Godspeed. You know what your name's? Godspeed. Like he does the whole thing. And so Nicolas Cage is hired to come on to assess the situation with this deadly weapon that is being brought in, and they're saying the only person that knows how to get, because Ed Harris and the military group goes to Alcatraz, storms it, takes it over, and says, if you don't give us all this money, we're going to shoot this into San Francisco, this weapon. And so the only person that's ever escaped from Alcatraz is James Bond, or AKA Sean Connery. I can't think of his name in the movie, but I'm just assuming it's James Bond now.
No, that doesn't seem.
It's not.
That doesn't seem like a bad.
It's a name I should know. Let me see. I'm about to get it now.
I can get it for you.
It's
right
John
this
Mason.
second. Yeah, John Patrick Mason.
Yeah. So.
It's a J.
Yeah. It's close. But so they bring him out of prison, and so Connery, at the same time, doesn't want to do it. Of course, he's reluctant. So he tries to escape a couple times. There's a big chase down in San Francisco, which is a pretty wild chase. This is a Michael Bay movie, by the way, so super wild. And it is on the Criterion Collection, so we know it's an artsy movie.
Of course.
And so, eventually,
Not
finally...
anymore. It's discontinued, sadly.
Oh, did it go on?
Did they take it out?
They finally took it out a few years back.
Man. That's sad.
I have the DVD,
That's
actually.
sad.
You can buy it for $5.
Armageddon and The Rock.
Yeah, those are one of the cheapest DVD Criterions you could ever find.
You can still find them
they
at
were
like
just-
Walmart sometimes.
You can still find them. I mean, to be honest, neither of them really have great releases on Blu-ray either.
And they removed the commentary for Armageddon, the Affleck commentary, which is like a classic.
Yeah, it's notorious for when he said like why isn't that where he said like why didn't they just teach astronauts how to be
Yes,
oil
he just
driller-
mocks
oil
the film as
drillers.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Rock is
I like The Rock a
think
lot. I still prefer Con Air.
I think it's Michael Bay's second film.
Yeah.
If memory serves.
It's one of the trios of his 90s run that I think gets the most play. Con Air, Face Off,
Yeah,
Face Off, and The
Bad
Rock.
Boys was his first, then The Rock.
Yeah.
Then Armageddon.
And it's got a great cast. Tony Todd's in there. Gregory Sportslander is in there. William Forsythe is in there. David Morris is in there. It's a cool.
Michael Biehn.
Bruckheimer always was
Michael
able
Biehn.
to get like whoever was kind of hip with near mats at that point, sort of actors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's a fun movie. They have to break into Alcatraz and try to stop this military force from shooting a essentially a chemical weapon into San Francisco.
It's such a quintessential 90s action movie.
Yeah.
Bad guys have to be stopped because they want to destroy the world or something. You know, it's one of those plots.
Yeah,
But Steven, do you have honorable mentions? Because I know there's a few more
there's a few more in there. You did bring up Vampire's Kiss. It is to me a classic. It's considered. I think Nick considers it is one of his favorite performances. And I do love watching it. I have a German release of it. I'm gonna eventually get that MVD release, but I got that.
I got it right here. Yeah.
Nice.
I got It's the movie that I think all of those Nicolas Cage gifs and memes come from.
Yeah.
Like all of them.
Yeah.
It's like so.
There's a lot from Deadfall. Actually, there's a lot of.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
And there's a couple I wouldn't say they're great, but they're still movies that I go back to every once in a while. 8mm, Snake Eyes, kind of wedged into that end of the 90s run.
8mm is one of the darkest films I can remember. Joel Schumacher going back to being super dark after Batman and Robin.
Yeah. And Snake Eyes is a De Palma film, so it's something
great opening.
Yeah.
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 And I'll give a shout out to Valley Girl. Valley Girl is great.
Oh, yeah, Valley Girl. We didn't mention that at all. Valley Girl, which was directed by Martha Coolidge, who did Fast Times at Ridgemont High, I believe.
No, it's not Martha Coolidge.
No, it's not Martha Coolidge. Who am I thinking?
Someone else. Doesn't matter, though.
It is someone else.
Well,
but great
Martha
soundtrack. Josie Cotton at prom, playing Johnny Are You Queer. It's great.
Oh, yeah, Martha Coolidge directed Real Genius. That's what she directed. Yeah.
Well, the last one I'll mention here, and this is the one I was kind of alluding to, is one of the VOD era movies that I kind of actually enjoyed watching, mostly for his performance, and that is Army of One, which is a biography, a film where about the man. I can't think of Gary Faulkner, who tries to go kill Osama bin Laden by himself. And his character in this film is amazing, like his performance. And I think it's the performance that really, I think, was, all the talk about him playing the Tiger King. This was the role that I thought got him that. Like, I was like,
actually, there's a film called Grand Isle.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah, it's quite Tiger King-y.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's been a while since I watched it, but yeah.
I watched that the other day. It's terrible, but he's pretty wild in it.
Well, Army of One, he's got a very much kind of like similar accent, and it's a very outlandish character. And just his adventure to try to get overseas to Pakistan to try to find Osama bin Laden is just ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, I think if I ever do a Nicolas Cage podcast one day and go through every Nicolas Cage movie, there's always that's the story to tell about Nicolas Cage, is even in this era where, wasn't exactly all great picks movie wise, but he, like you said, gives 101%. Like, just at least makes you enjoy your time, with what his performance, what he's given in his performance.
Yeah, he doesn't take any time off. No. I mean, yeah, there are two more films I got to throw in: Kick-Ass and Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, which I think are...
Yeah, Bad Lieutenant's good, yeah.
Bad Lieutenant with the Werner Herzog film, which it's not really a remake of the other Bad Lieutenant starring Harvey Keitel, but they just kind of has the same name.
Yeah.
Was it shot as a Bad Lieutenant film?
Oh,
the producer forced the title on it.
Oh. That's interesting. Well, do you know what the original title was supposed to be?
It was something pretty generic, but it was not called Bad Lieutenant.
Police Story. What? You can't use that.
It's like Bad Cop or something. But no,
Worst Cop.
It was never intended to be a Bad Lieutenant spin-off.
It was going to be called Bad Sergeant. Like, what? That's just a different level of cop.
It's a remake. I don't know. The thing is, it doesn't feel like a remake at all. I don't know.
He does drugs and he's a cop. That's about it.
Yeah, he does drugs and he's a crooked cop. But there's other films that have that similar premise that don't have that title, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie is wild for scenes where Nick Cage's characters like under the influence of drugs, and he's seeing like visions of like things and whatnot. Yeah, it's a wild movie. I have the DVD actually. But then in Kick-Ass he has a small role as Big Daddy, I believe. Isn't that the character's name?
Big Daddy, yeah.
Appropriate name. Appropriate last kind of thing to call Nicolas Cage, I guess. But yeah,
we could literally list off most of his filmography and talk.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
But we got to stop
here.
We got to stop ourselves.
We got to stop. Yeah, I'm gonna pass out.
Yeah. But Ian, thanks for coming again. Thank you for the work you did on your on Red Rock West. Can't wait to get the release. Anything else you wanna talk about before we go?
That's about it, and just hope you guys enjoy the release. And I'm on Psychotronic Cinema. I just actually had my first interview published in a magazine.
I saw the John Waters interview was in there. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. And that's like $5 or £5. So if anyone wants to buy it, that would probably help the magazine out a bit. It's a good interview as well. And I'm on Twitter, on Psychotronic Cinema, and Facebook, and all of the usual places.
All right, man. Well, thank you for joining us again. Andrew, where can you be found?
You can find me on Twitter at Capzilla06, as well as our YouTube channel, Chasing Labels.
And you can find me on Facebook, Stephen Billings. You can also find me at the other Chasing Labels pages, whether it be our Twitter, Instagram, or my letterboxd at Chasing Labels. You can also get the audio for the podcast on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and other places. Thanks again for listening, and hey, keep on watching them movies.
I know I will.